did great things for this city. I did great things that helped move the needle in the culture and leave an impact on things I felt like were important. I want to be known for a person that did do that and have an impact on people's lives.
We just added to the decorated room. We were already decorated, but then we added a couple 100 billion more streams, about 20 more Grammys. So now we probably at 60 Grammys and almost, trillion streams? Because you halfway got us to a trillion. I don't know how you got us there. $500 billion guy right here. But this is the GO.A.T farm. My name is Don Cannon, number one co-signer. I came from mixtapes all the way to producing and having a label of my own with, diamond artists and all that dumb shit, decoration. This is Leslie Brathwaite. Introduce yourself.
My name is Leslie Brathwaite. I'm a mix engineer. I was going to say I was a recording engineer. Well, see, being in the room with y'all
were, though.
takes me back. At one point I was, but I'm a mix engineer / producer every now and then when I feel like it. But yeah, I'm here in Atlanta, been doing my thing. Started my career with this guy. You introduce yourself.
My name is Dallas Austin. I'm a songwriter and record producer and ATLian dude, basically. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time. We started, when was that, Leslie? I know I started, my first record was like 88, 89, 92.
Yeah, and I met you in 91, 92. I met you in 92.
Phil Jackson, a lot of rings right there.
Yeah.
M-Dub.
I'm Miles Walker. I'm a mix engineer here in Atlanta. Got started hanging out with Leslie. He gave me my first shot over there, so appreciate you, Les.
Absolutely.
And I love making records.
I'm Rook Flair, Justice League.
One half of Justice League.
One half, yeah, definitely. Shout out to my brother Collin for sure.
Coley.
He's somewhere out there in his Rolls Royce chilling.
Wow. Wow. We haven't those kind of
I'm happy
conversations.
to see that one.
Yeah.
Producer from Tampa, and had a lot of fun over the years. Leslie's, like you said, he's a fucking GOAT.
That's
real.
right. That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's right. Newfound pizza guy right here. He's
Yeah.
making all the pizzas. We're going to try these pizzas out.
I'm Collin Leonard. I own Sing Mastering and Aria Mastering in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm happy to be here with all you
Collin,
guys.
final touch.
He is
Leonard.
he's the master.
Final touch.
Final touch.
Mr.
Leonard.
Miyagi.
I like it. Final
500
touch, Leonard.
billion. How's that feel, man?
Surreal a little bit.
I had a feeling he was going to say some
Feels
cool
the
shit
same,
like
you
that.
know? Feels the same as it did when you start. You just try to make every song sound as good as possible.
That's right. That's right. So what I'm starting with now is the ending is actually something that's very important. Impact. I want to know what it means to you guys to have impact. And this is in and out of music and life. I want to start because another surreal moment having Dallas here. Growing up in Philadelphia, we didn't have a lot of, people that we could look at. Will Smith was the first person that we actually looked at. But for the youngins, I was younger. So I'm, 8, 9 years old looking at somebody 21 doing it from Philadelphia. We didn't have that many looks. The olders had Teddy Pendergrass. They had Patti LaBelle. They had Billy Paul. They even had like Gamble and Huff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We had Illegal. And the reason we had Illegal was because Jamal was from Philadelphia. And that was the first person of our age that we seen that, our counselors and teachers told me, you're going to be ended up dead in jail. That was the first person that made it to a tube and was able to make it. So I wanted to thank you for that because these guys, we really tried to be like, you know what I'm saying? We had, we had the flannels. I tried to cut my hair a couple times, bald, get the eyebrows, shave. So that had a big impact on my career from a Philly standpoint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's talk about impact from that. And I just wanted to start there, but anybody can take the mic. It's all good.
I got a good place to start on impact because I wanted to say something and it actually is relative to impact. So yesterday, Miles said something that I went home thinking about. And when you said that being around me, of course, you learned a lot of the craft, but what you really learned and what was an important thing for you to learn is how I was with my family.
Yeah, for sure.
And that really made a difference to me because anybody who know me can, and you know me well, we talk about family stuff all the time. Like, that's an important piece in my life. And so building my family, maintaining my family, I got girls, my wife. So when you said that, I went home thinking about that all night. And so it's interesting that Dallas is sitting here right now because you don't realize how much, even in these spaces, when you say something little like that, how much it like made me feel so good to know that I lived my life a certain way and it impacted you to want to emulate. So having Dallas here today, it's such a trip how you had such a major impact in me in a way that you probably don't know. So I'm gonna break it down for you. So of course, learned a lot of things musically, career-wise, the whole nine. I always say Dallas probably pound for pound gave you one of the most important things in life is an opportunity. That's point blank. But there's something I took from watching you over the years that to this day I implement, and I think it's a big part of my success. One thing I noticed about you, I've heard stories, and I've actually seen so many people do you wrong. From the bad contracts with this person and the Willie Carters and the Joyce Irbies and I've witnessed so many situations where people really did you like dirty and wrong. And one thing I always noticed about you, Dallas, you never got bitter. You never tried to get back at that person. You always just did you. And what was super dope, and I could sit here and list names, most of the people who did you wrong, you turned around and helped.
Yeah.
That, to me, biggest impact more than anything else is I figured like that's how I want to live. I don't want to live with any bitterness. I don't want to try to do somebody wrong that did me wrong. That was a huge impact to me. So I wanted to tell you that because when he told me that about how I impacted him with family yesterday, I was like, you got to know that's a huge thing. And it carries over. So it's interesting because you see it in relationships. So bring it to Canon. So the last studio situation I was in, they literally terminated my stay contract while I was on vacation. I was out of town and they just was chasing some bigger money and da-da-da. And because of the relationship we had in the and here's the wild part of this story. Part of that relationship broke down because the studio manager felt some kind of way that we talked about it yesterday, that I went to London to mix Beyonce. True story. His thing was, well, you mix all this stuff and then you get your biggest names and then you go out of the country to mix it. Why didn't you bring it here? And I was like, bro, it don't work like that. Yeah. We went where she wanted to work. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you know how that was. Yeah. So that was the reason, or that was a catalyst for me getting kicked out of that studio. Turn to him. I'm driving back from Orlando, and I call Canon, and I say, hey, man, got this situation, da-da-da-da. And then the ironic thing was I needed a studio to mix Beyonce. I needed to mix the Lion King joint.
Okay, yeah.
So I now got kicked out of my space because he mad that I mixed Beyonce in London. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to mix Beyonce. The very thing you mad that I ain't mixing your studio, I'm trying to mix in your studio. You just kicked me out. So I called him. I said, Cannon, and I started telling him the story. Before I even finished the story, he didn't even know what I had to mix. He cut me off and was like, bro, you could stop. Just pick up a key when you get back. You on your way back now? Go see Royce. Get a key. We got you a room. The room wasn't even finished. And I told him, I said, I went and got, remember when I went and bought curtains. All the, the storage things you get from U-Haul? I went and put up a bunch of those storage blankets because I had to get this Beyonce joint done, the Lion King joint. We had to get on that joint. And so I was like, I needed a room to mix in. He was like, don't even worry about it. And that kind of pay it forward, take care of your people, don't worry about who did you wrong. And I never, ever shot back at that studio. I never went for any kind of, revenge or vitriol or nothing. And I learned that from him. I learned that you just keep it moving. You do good, people gonna do you wrong, and that's okay.
Keep that energy positive.
What's horrible though is when you feel like, most of the time when someone has an impact on you, you're vulnerable, right?
Yep.
And you want to look up to whether it was Joyce Irby's or whoever's, and then once you get to a certain place, sometimes it turn into envy, sometimes it turn you're not sure what really happens in there. But one thing I used to always say is like, when I was in this situation with Joyce. I'm named after this spiritual doctor named Dr. Dallas Moore, right? He was in Donaldsonville, Georgia. So my mom and dad, anytime something happened, they used to go see him, right? It's pigs and peacocks in this little bitty house, and there's people from all around the world waiting to see him. No phones, you can't call him or nothing. He just comes out and be like, okay, you come. He knows what your problem is. So my mom and dad used to go see him all the time down in Columbus, Georgia days. Anything went wrong, they go see Doc. He give him some oils, give him some scriptures, give him some stuff to do, boom, right? I've seen this work in a lot of different ways. I've seen my brother go from a 90-year cocaine sentence down to 3 years served, right?
Right.
From my mom going to Doc, right? So the only time I went was when I was in the bad contracts with Joyce, and I could never figure out, like, records were selling everywhere. I couldn't get them to make a deal. They would just disappear, and then we just sit. I got money in escrow. My mom's working at This Is It Barbecue. So
This is it, barbecue.
and I was like, so when I went to see Doc, my mom was like, I think you go see Doc, right? So I go to see him. I haven't seen this man since I was born, right? And even then, I was too little to go to him for anything. Drive down to Columbus to get Mr. Henry, who was to take you to Donaldsonville to see him. Like, so we get there, and it's the same as I remembered as a kid. There's cars everywhere, the little shack house, little peacocks and stuff running around, and we was there for a couple, like maybe 20, 30 minutes, and the guy comes out and said, Dallas, Doc want to see you. So I walk in, he goes, man, look at you, man, and he's on a sick bed, and there's only a candle in this shack. And he goes, you're down here by those contracts, aren't you? I said, actually, yeah. He said, cool. He said, I'm going to give you this oil. You put this behind your ears, and you read the scripture every day. And the scripture was about, please forgive them. They don't know better what they're doing. They're trying to take my gift, and they don't know better. So forgive them for doing that.
Tough.
So I start reading that scripture every day. And one day, out of nowhere, Joyce Irby shows up at G.O.A.T's office. And we've been trying to get her for 3 years to make a deal. I got Boys to Men, TLC. Everybody sold records already. Records already sold. We already millions of records sold. My mom's still at This Is It Barbecue.
Crazy.
Because I was in a work for hire agreement. I couldn't get any money from Joyce, right? So I couldn't get any. She couldn't get any. It's just stuck. And I couldn't figure that out. And so out of nowhere, she just shows up at the office. I go in there. She said, can I talk to him for a second? Because this lady has been my, talk about impact. She had the most impact on me. She was the first person that ever told me, oh, this is what a melody is. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that's what it was called. Or, I'm just young. I'm doing the Hey Mr. DJ record for her and Dougie Fresh and all of that. And by the time I got to doing Boys to Men, Gerald wanted me to do them by myself, so it got a little rocky. So I go down. She comes to the lawyer's office. I had this meeting with her. She goes, first off, I was in a Solar building last night. And I walked down in the parking lot, and this car pulled up, and these 3 dudes got out. One dude came and put a gun in my head and said, get on your knees. She said, I told the dude, if you're going to shoot me, I'm not going to die on my knees. You're going to have to shoot me standing up.
That's such a Joyce thing.
Ain't it a Joyce thing? Yeah. And she said, and another car pulls up. She said, I don't know if this was gang initiation or what it was, but another car pulls up, and they said, no, not loud. Let's go. She goes, did you send them? I said, me? I said, no, I wanted to. Or my mom coming here with flour on her face from This Is It all the time, and I got millions of dollars sitting, but no, I didn't do that. She goes, okay. She goes, I tell you what, you tell me what you think I deserve. I said, well, right now you got 100% everything. I don't feel like you deserve that at all.
Right.
Write all these songs. But I think I deserve 75, you deserve 25. She goes, okay, fine. She goes, can you do one favor for me, though? I said, yes. She said, I can't get a deal anywhere because the stuff that's been going on with me and you, like, nobody will touch me. They won't call me back or nothing. So if I bring your act, would you consider signing that act? I said, look, I don't want to get into no. She said, no. Just, you can have the act, do what you do with it, because I know if you like it and you do what you do with it, it'll be successful. I said, okay, that's fair. She said, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you do, there's opportunity. She said, okay, that's fair. She said, check this kid Sammy out.
Mm-hmm.
So my energy, I've learned at an early point that, you don't fight fire with fire.
Facts.
Jesus
Right.
Christ was on the cross. He said, forgive them. They don't know better. And it's
That's right.
So that theory, I've told that to different people.
Mm-hmm.
I told it to Gip before. I told it to different people when they say, oh, man, I hate this situation. I don't want to deal with that. Pray for them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wish good for them because they don't know what they're doing.
Facts.
Right.
They don't know better. If
That's
they're going
right.
to do that to you, shame them. They don't know better. So I had that happen to me a lot of times in life where, there's been plenty of times you want to call somebody, you want to get the gun yourself and go see them or something, but like, where do you end up at the end of the day?
Right.
You got to end up, that cycle is just a cycle that ends up going on unless you just stop it. And nothing is really worth, you keep a tab. You say, you know what, I remember that person did me wrong. Good for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But life goes on. You got to keep moving. And, I remember Leslie, he gave me, Leslie, when he first started interning, he was interning before he even started working.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, okay, Waffle House, 1 o'clock, whatever. Waffle House on 2 waffles, whatever. Cool. A few days later, I didn't have to ask for Waffle House no more to already be there. So I'm like, okay, he ain't gonna be in there too long. So go in the room, go ahead and start working on the console, do whatever you want to do in there. You know, because at that point you don't want the interns in the consoles because you had SSLs and you want them to fuck them up if you didn't know what they was doing. I said, go ahead, do your thing in there. And I would see him in there opening the books, see him in there doing his thing, you know, getting better at his skills at it. And one of my most impactful things that I got was one day this dude came to me and said, can I buy your house? I said, you want to buy my house? He said, yeah. And he gave me a plaque. And he said, because of you, I've done all of this. Mm-hmm. And he had different CDs of all the stuff that he had worked on.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn. And you want to buy my house? I did great. And he ended up buying my house.
And I bought the house. Yeah.
We talk about impact, man. You know, in Atlanta, I was starting from scratch. Basically, we had SOS Band and Tebow Bryson, but from the era of me and Jermaine and everybody that came along from it, I think we all had impact on each other.
That's right.
You know, because we were showing that the other person could do it. And you're like, oh, wait, you can do it like that? Okay, well, let me try it too, you know?
Yep.
And in those spaces, like I said, you're always vulnerable. And it's nothing worse than being in a bad contract feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that feeling. I never wanted to do that to anybody else. Like, anything I've ever done, I've done by myself. I wrote, produced by myself. I got here by myself. So there's no reason to take from anybody
and
else.
And I was going to say, out, you know? I love how you always paid it forward, too, because I've seen situations where even your artists would do you wrong in the sense of they don't fulfill their thing or da-da-da, and they'll come to, and I've seen you do it. They'll come to you and be like, hey, man, I want out. Dallas ain't giving no static. All right. Where other people would have not let that person out of that contract.
Well, I'm a big fan
and
of that.
you did that, too.
I saw you do it a couple times.
But Kenneth, you know how this goes, because if you sign somebody, like especially in Atlanta, right, and I've signed producers before, right, and I told them, 1 year from now, you probably ain't gonna have no money. You know why? Because you can get a lot of advances, but you're going to spend them. Mm-hmm. All right. And so I had these producers, the same thing happened, you know, and everybody gets big before they come out because Atlanta starts saying you big. If you start getting the buzz out and you sign a Canon, everybody start using you, and they gone. They ain't never heard a record on the radio or nothing. They gone, right?
Yeah.
So I had the same issue, and then I go to New York, and these 2 dudes stepped to me and said, yo, man, I manage the dudes down in Atlanta. I said, my producers, you manage them? I said, yeah, we need to talk. What about the money they owe me? All right, let's do it.
Right.
So I come back to Atlanta, and I'm in New York now. And these dudes they live down the street. So I'm like, my man, what is going on? Every time y'all need anything, you come right here and ask for it. You gonna have some dude in New York come to me and talk some shit? Oh man, dude, we just didn't feel like this was there. I was like, okay, hold on 1 second. Pull that paperwork for me. Let me ask you a question. When you started here, what was you making? I'm making $12,500. I was making $24,000. I said, if I told you made $100,000 this year, would you believe me? I said, look at all those. Oh man. What? I said, you know the rims you bought and the Gucci suits and shit, trying to keep up with everybody.
Yep.
When you ain't made it like them yet, that's why your money. When I told you it was gonna be broke the same year, right?
Yep.
I said, oh D, we sorry, man. I said, I know, man, but I don't want to have no deal with y'all no more. I know y'all owe me money, but that's cool. I don't want nothing to do with you. Let the money go. Let the money go, man.
Yeah, man, that's tough. On this side, impact.
It kind of goes back to the impact that we had was. It goes back to what Leslie was saying. Actually, there's an experience I had with Leslie when we first came to Atlanta, working with Jeezy, and him being so accomplished, we didn't know who he was. And he just came in the room, super cool, super humble, and we just thought he was just some dude on a guitar, like just roaming around the studio.
I was teaching myself how to play guitar.
Yeah. And so, Coach K and Jeezy told us, yeah, that's Leslie. He mixed this and this, and that. It was like, oh shit, damn, that's crazy. He's so cool. So then every time he would come in, he was like, oh, we was like, damn, that's cool as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So he loved our stuff. He loved all the instruments and everything that we had. But then there was other big, I'm not gonna name them. There was other big producers that would come in the room while we were doing Jeezy's album. And behind our back, they would be like, yo, yeah, Justice League is dope, but they don't have a sound. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn. So, and I look up to them. I'm like, damn, that sucks. You know what I'm saying? So, because I thought that we were so versatile, and because a lot of people had a sound. You know what I'm saying? In that era, it was Pharrell and Lil Jon and Scott Storch in that era, the early 2000s and whatnot. And so I was like, damn, I guess we don't have a sound because we could do anything. You know what I'm saying? But so yeah, it kind of hurt my feelings, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, you know what, fuck it. We're going to just keep on doing us. And then, so I guess the impact to me is like, I feel like we're one of the earlier producers that were like, that can be able to go in and out of genres and
1,000%.
you know, go from trap shit to big melodic shit to R&B shit. To, I mean, our first Grammy was for Mary. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, but we're doing all this trap shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like that was kind of our impact. You know, the impact of the experience that we have with Leslie, him loving our shit, and then because of the music, we impact other producers to be versatile. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy like Cardiac and stuff, who's everywhere now, and you know, a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? That now I feel like it's a standard to do. You have to do everything now. You know what I'm saying?
I just wanted to let you know you scared them. That's why they were saying that you was dope, but didn't have a sound. They was actually watching.
I was
They was
literally
watching.
about
It's
to
like,
say,
damn, they
what
kind of dope.
really
They
the
scared me. Let me
problem
box them
was
out.
is you were intimidated.
They was trying to box you. They was trying to box you out. You know what I'm saying? That's what that was.
That's really what that was.
That's for sure. Clive used to do that to us all the time. But let me know that don't take it personal. I'm like, how?
Yeah, right.
You know, you work with the artist you work with. You got to produce whatever that artist is.
Yeah.
So,
Right. M-Dub, we ain't gonna talk red cabbage. You know what I'm saying?
No. But like most stories, it's going to tie back to Leslie because that's just how it's going to be. And Leslie had a big impact on me before I even came to town because I was in Nashville and I had moved there after school and I was making country records. And it was a good experience, but, you know, I had got some credits on Shadazy and Tim McGraw, and I had my little $10, was going to go to the record store, buy that booklet, see my name in there. I was real excited. And I'm Serious from T.I. and Red Light, it was Back for the First Time, had just come out. And I was like, that's the records I actually want to listen to. Let me buy those. And I spent my last money, and I looked in the booklet, and it was mixed by Leslie Brathwaite, Patchwork Studios. And I said, this is crazy. I got to go down there. That's where I got to be. I got to learn from Leslie. So that had a big impact on my whole career, moving to Atlanta, getting started, getting set up. And it let me know that anytime you do your best work and you put it out, you have no idea where that impact is going to reach.
That's right.
He reached a kid in Nashville who was making country records, but was a DJ and loved hip hop music.
Love that.
And I was like, this is just where I got to go. So, you know, I make my records, and it's one thing why I miss physical media because credits were more available. Now it's hard these days to sometimes track down correct credits. You know, Instagram is now the new credit check,
Half
which
the
is
time is wrong.
which is super wrong. Yeah, exactly. Which is tough because, like, you know, I was so motivated by these liners, learning about producers and who did these tracks, songwriters, everything. I was so interested in this. But, you know, if you put your best work out and, you know, people can find it, maybe they can find you, and maybe that can change their life too. So
that's good tutelage.
It is for sure.
What you talking about, man? Final touch over here.
Yeah, man. I think it's crazy that
Master Miyagi.
I feel really lucky that I get to work with every one of you guys, like basically at the same time, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Like literally, like everybody's music here, I get to work on. So I feel like and making all of it translate to the world how you guys envision it. Everybody's different. Everybody's music is different. So to make it translate is like, you know, a big deal, and make it translate, you know, listen to the music and kind of be like, oh, you know, Rook, I know he wants it to sound like this, and I know what he was going for here. Or Dallas wants this to be raw, and, you know, Leslie's kick drums and mid-range, you know, everybody's tracks.
Yeah.
So I feel like just bringing all that music to the world is something that, like, I take really seriously.
I wanted to highlight something about you too really quick. I don't want us to miss as a big deal because you and I both work with her, Beyonce. She never, in the history of Collin's masters, she never sent back a master and said something's bothering her. You never had a miss. Like, and that's a big deal with her because she's mad particular, and she's mad meticulous. But she worships you. Like, she be like, send it to Collin. After Collin, it's good. She don't even listen to it after you.
I don't think I do anymore. I just sent you one a few minutes ago. I don't know if she got it yet. It got to the point where I was like, Collin did it. Okay, good. Go ahead, let's go.
Yeah. Talk about impact.
I asked Collin that though when I was here last time, and we was playing some records and stuff for me, and then said, listen to the difference in this one, listen to this one, and I was just because we were talking about it. I said, your zone that you go in for mastering is different from everybody else's.
Yep.
Like you figured out what everybody. It's kind of what he just said. You figured out what makes everybody's stuff sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you don't get that. You get this is how they did it, and they sent it back to you. Like, oh man, it's too squished. It's too this. It's too that.
Yes.
But he's Collin's ear from doing so many different types of music. It's just kind of like this now. It's like the master ear.
Yeah, your fill percentage is up there.
I feel like it's more about like listening to it as it's more coming at it from a musical standpoint,
Yes.
and not a technical standpoint.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm not coming at it from a technical. I mean, the stuff that you do to it is technical,
But
what you're actually doing to the music is a musical standpoint, right? Like, it's a vibe thing. It's a feel
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
that's the goal.
I never want to have the DB conversation with none of y'all.
Yeah,
couple DB.
one DB.
Yeah, nah. 'Cause I say it all the time when
I
I
want
when I
that
teach
conversation.
students. When I teach students, I always tell them we have a very technical job, but my number one job is to make sure somebody feels something from this record, even if it's just mixing.
That's right.
I want them to feel it. I love when my clients call me back and be like, "Yo, mix going crazy," like that's a feel.
I think, it's not really a secret, but I think like listening to a mix and feeling the emotion from the song, you can enhance that in mastering.
Facts.
And it's different things for every song.
Yeah.
Like, it might be a really distorted song that technically doesn't sound good, but it has like a cool vibe to it. So to like enhance that in the master, and maybe that takes a couple of things to try, a couple of different
Yeah,
things.
these cheat code ass speakers you got. It's a cheat code. You come in here, everything sounds good.
Cheat code.
We talk about impact. Impact in Atlanta. We all have substantial amount of impact in Atlanta, or what Atlanta made an impact on us. And I'll start first. I call myself the Philly-Atlantean because I'm Philly. You know what I'm saying? I've been in Philly 18 years. I've been here 25 years. Now kind of crossed the threshold of being Philly.
Right.
I walk, talk Philly, but it's really Atlanta that kind of shaped my life. I was down here, parents at home. I learned by every step. If I fell, I learned. If I read a book, I learned. If I went to Stiegel's on campus, I learned. I went to Audrey's bookstore, I learned. I went to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I came to DART, I learned. You know what I'm saying? The impact of Atlanta, like, you're from.
I'm from Maine originally, but
Okay.
I moved here when I was 21.
Okay.
And I moved here with three. I was one of a jazz trio, and we moved here.
That's the wildest
wild
origin story ever.
Playing, jazz fusion in a band. I play guitar,
Yeah.
and that's how I moved here. And then Atlanta just has this like musical vibe. Right. We had like a rehearsal spot at Black Box with all these bands in there. And 21 years old, it was just fun, man. And it's been like I think it's been kind of an easy city to navigate musically for me anyway.
Yeah.
To make all these connections and more in Atlanta is crazy.
That's a wild origin story.
Yeah, I'm here. Well, I'm from born in New York and then became a man in Florida, basically.
Florida man.
Yeah.
Florida man.
But the Atlanta shit is crazy because we started coming to Atlanta like around 2004-ish, like when Jesus first working on his first album on Def Jam. And so we didn't live here yet. We were just kind of coming back and forth.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Y'all were traveling back
Yeah,
and forth.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but every time we would come, it'd be like a whole nother world. Because, we from Florida, so everything is kind of segregated over there. So we come here, and we seen all these rich-ass neighborhoods with a bunch of black people in it. It's like, yo, this shit is fly. This shit is fun. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen no shit like this.
Y'all came at the right time.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't like that was on Gobby Road.
Yeah. Cascade wasn't always
Cascade
Cascade.
So yeah, so that was cool to me, just seeing that, you know what I mean, and seeing that culture, and then also while we was living in Florida, he mixed our first placement. This guy mastered our first hit record.
Yeah.
Two Pistols and T-Pain, the She Got It record, and so we'd come all the way up here and get shit mixed and mastered and shit, but we just knew we had to be here.
Yeah.
Because it was just too much of a drive going back and forth from Florida to Atlanta. But I was like, well, shit, everybody's here. We gotta make this home.
Yeah.
Shit, been here ever since, really.
And you're Nashville.
Yeah, that's right. I started there, but I knew it was here. It's like all the records I was loving was here.
Come on, man. Nashville.
Nashville was a good experience as an engineer because
I'm
it was
still,
about
I'm still
chops.
trying to do 3-4 months in Nashville.
Well,
love
Nashville's
Nashville
a
now.
great city.
just the studios in general.
The
You
studios
know
are
what I mean?
amazing, and like that's why I went there. I wanted to get the technical chops, and I got it. And I mean, maybe Leslie would tell you, when I came in as an intern there, I had a year's worth of recording in Nashville.
Oh
So
yeah,
Got
he
you.
knew.
Got you. Okay.
But,
was
but,
well
they were very, but
advanced.
Curtis was very clear. He was like, we do not hire engineers. You will be an intern day one. And I said, that's okay. I just need to get plugged into this
right.
network. This is the kind of music I wanted to make,
That's
And
right.
I came in around that same time, early 2000s. And, I was there when you mixed your first record.
Yeah.
And I was calling all my friends back home. I was like, there's this guy, G.O.A.T. You're not going to believe it. It's the craziest thing you've ever heard. And like so many records were like revolutionary records. And they weren't just coming out of Atlanta. Right. They were coming out of Patchwork. They were coming out of 9000. So to be there every single day, that energy, it was like Mega Man. I was just like, let me pull this energy and keep it for myself. And now, I work with people all over the world in a lot of different genres. And I feel like I can put my Atlanta plug-in on it.
Yeah,
and
like
just
Katy Perry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's
like
always
Katy
great.
Perry.
Just mixed a record called Fireworks. Yeah.
Nobody doesn't want Atlanta.
That's right.
Wherever they're from,
That's right.
they want some Atlanta.
That's
right. Absolutely.
So I'm lucky to be able to have experienced all that and put it into their project, even if they've never come down and got the lemon pepper wet. So
Yo, do y'all remember that time that there was a bunch of producers, big producers, at Patchwork? I think you was there. You was there. It was like us, drummer, Polo Don, Jazzy.
oh, I know exactly when this was.
And all it was just us playing beats.
Playing
beats.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
like a beat
That
battle
was
before that
crazy.
was the thing. And we blew speakers in 9002, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Bro, it
Yes.
was like the biggest of the
Yeah.
biggest, and everybody
Huge.
was about to come up.
Jazzy, everybody was there.
Yeah.
Everybody
Manny
was
I
there.
didn't
Manny
pull up. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
like, I'm better than them. I'm gonna just put their shit on my mixtape.
You might have been hosting.
I might have been hosting.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna go here first
Yeah.
before we get to you because you got a lot of history that we want to unravel.
Yeah. That was got a ton
your
of history.
your Atlanta impact.
I feel like-
and where you came from.
Yeah, so coming from the Virgin Islands and going to Full Sail, when I was there, it was kind of that thing where everybody at the time, this is in 1991, so everybody at the time was like, you either go to New York, you go to Nashville, or you go to L.A. to be successful.
Yep. Good
And
point.
I read an article, and Dallas was on the cover, and it was talking about the article really was talking about the revolution of L.A. Reid and Babyface moving from Minneapolis and setting up shop in Atlanta.
Yep.
And I was like, that sparked my interest. But then I saw Dallas was opening a studio. I don't even think the studio had a name yet. I just knew he was opening the studio. I was like, that's where I gotta be. I felt like everything was about to start there.
Yeah.
And what's funny, I see these T-shirts every now and then. I gotta get me one. A T-shirt that says Atlanta influences everything.
That's right.
I really, truly believe it. And not just because I became a man here and grew up here in the industry, da-da-da. You can see it. Atlanta influences everything. There was a time when, it's funny, that's how I met Beyonce. Beyonce was signed to a group that Raphael Sadiq's brother had called the Dolls at the time. Remember the Dolls?
We worked with them
And then Daryl Simmons had like a code
Yeah,
deal
them
with
too,
them, and
yep.
he was bringing them down. But they were coming to Atlanta. Everybody, even back then, this is in the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming to Atlanta for the sauce.
That's right.
Everybody was coming here to work with him. Madonna was coming here. Cher was coming here to work with me. Like, people were coming here. So I realized, Atlanta has the sauce. All the songwriters that were popping off in the industry lived here.
Yeah.
So Atlanta was the source. And through that and watching Atlanta grow through whether it's trap, Outkast, the impact of the Southern music. And what was so dope about the South still on a run. That's like, think about that.
I mean, they put their footprint down, and it just
Still
turned
on
into
a
something
run.
different.
Still on a run.
I consider you one of the tastemakers that I go to for taste, right? When you, at that moment when you saw I need to be here at Dallas' studio, was that because you knew it was the perfect blend of hip hop, R&B, and other genres, or you looked at him and was like, oh, he's got the most swag or style, I need to be in that space because I'm that, or versus like L.A. Reid and them, they had like a traditional space, you know what I'm saying? The only two people I remember was either Dallas and Rowdy and Jermaine. And those are the people I was like, those are places I need to be at because they compare to me. I came up like that box haircut. You know, I didn't.
Yeah, it's
I
that
always
sound.
saw L.A. Reid in them as they got the suits on. They playing drum. They incredible.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I was like, bro, I'm not that. I don't even know if they understand my Philly language like that. You know what I'm saying?
When
So
I
do you
read that
consider
article, I already knew who you was because
Okay.
I knew that sound. I
Gotcha.
knew Hey Mr. DJ was one of my favorite records.
Facts.
So I understood where his brain was on this going crazy on the set. It's funny, by the time I got to Dark, I was like, and remember, probably a few years later, I think it happened either in 93 or 94, is the sample clearance law had kind of just kicked
Just
in.
changed 94.
So I was like, I remember I used to be looking at Dallas joints. I'd be like, man, he about to catch one. Like, Ain't Too Proud of Bad got like 15 samples in it. It's Slick Rick. It's Sly and the Family Stone. I could sit here and rattle off everybody on. It's Wes Montgomery, Slick Mick, Sly and the Family Stone. It's all kind of samples in one record. So, but that's what I knew. It was that cool fact. It was, oh, he's flipping these samples and making R&B records. And it's funny, he had an impact on how I mix now, which is he always just tell me, I say it all the time, he always just tell me, he's come in the room and be like, Les, you a hip-hop head. Mix these R&B records like they hip-hop records. That was the sound of the 90s.
Yep.
So he had that impact on my style where he would always tell me, hey, man, these TLC records, Monica, mix these records like they hip-hop records.
Yeah.
That was the sound.
I figured that was the correlation
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah.
DA, tell us about, and you were born in Columbus,
I was
right?
born in Columbus.
Okay.
And long story short, my brother bought me a GX3P, and then he threw it across the room and broke it. I thought my life was over because I couldn't have a big keyboard. He had to finance it. It took him 4 years to pay $1,200 for it.
Yeah.
But when he broke my keyboard, then I was like, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm going to Atlanta, Mom. I can't be no big star here. She had a restaurant. We were downtown in the ghetto of Columbus. Rats running across the floor. And my room was crooked like this. I'm adding on to the back of the house. So I was in a culture shock because we had because I couldn't relate. And so my keyboard was my only saving grace. And I asked my mom. I said, give me a little calculator one, and every Christmas get me a bigger keyboard. And it got to the point I got the Casio, but I couldn't get into the real bands if I didn't have a Poly 6 or some kind of Roland or something, right? So I got that JX3P, and when he broke it, which is the best thing that ever happened to me, I went to the Greyhound bus station. I said, Mom, that's it. I'm going to Atlanta. She said, how you gonna do that? You're 12. He broke my keyboard. I can't be a big record producer down here. I'm going to Atlanta. And my aunt lived up here already. So I went back home that night. Said, look, come on, you're not gonna do that. Just come back home. And so got back up the next day, looked at my keyboard. I went downstairs, got like $20 out of her cash register, and went back to the Greyhound bus station. And she was finally like, yo, you gonna leave me down? You really going to Atlanta? I'm like, yeah, dude broke my keyboard.
Dude, bro.
I was mad. I went downstairs, got the knife. I tried to kill him. I tried everything possible. I couldn't get to him. But then she's like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, then I know you're that stubborn, you're that determined. Just give me some time to sell the restaurant, and I'll go with you. We moved to Atlanta.
Wow.
And we did. And the first stop was Old National, so we thought that was Atlanta.
Wow.
So she got a job working at Po Folks. I started going to Lakeshore, and like in 9th grade, and then start playing in bands and stuff, like trying to get my name out playing the keyboard as a kid. I met Jermaine when I was like 17, I think, or maybe 15, because I wasn't driving yet.
Yeah.
And he had Silk Times Leather and some other stuff he was working on. I did Hey Mr. DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, it was really like, when I think back on now how we, especially me and JD, because like we lived down the street from each other, so we was always on Godby Road, and that's why the New York hip hop heads came in at.
Got you.
And then Eric being for president and all that stuff was playing, so that's how we started adopting all the hip hop stuff. And then it's crazy is by the time we really started having impact, like with Criss Cross and ABC and Speech had Arrested Development, and Atlanta had started to take its shape of being young and being like, what is that? Because even in New York and LA, we felt like we were shut out because like, the Atlanta boys coming, so you didn't have that sound, you didn't have this sound, so we just took everybody's sound and then started gumboing it together. And I remember when L.A. Reid first got down here, because when they came to put LaFace here, I had already did Boyz II Men and Another Bad Creation and stuff. They'd be like, man, how y'all getting y'all drums to sound like this? Like, what are y'all doing? How y'all getting y'all stuff to sound this way? Well, I was a fan of Hank Shockley too, so I would put 30 samples in a song because I was trying to be like the Bomb Squad, Public Enemy, right? And then write the song on top of it. And I remember Andre and Russell asked me one time, what are y'all doing in Atlanta? What do y'all understand that we don't understand? Like, because if you remember when New York started doing hip hop R&B, it was like it wasn't the R&B wasn't that good, right? So it wasn't like as good as Elliot Face or Kashif or whoever else. It was okay, but it's more about the beats. And I just remember telling them, man, we songwriters first. That's what everybody don't think about.
To this day.
Still to this day. Myself, JD, you know, if you've never seen Jermaine, he's singing all the songs before everybody else sing them.
To this day.
But we were songwriters first, and then we just put all the stuff on top of it. And I think from us being so young, like I was talking the other day, like I didn't realize how much stuff. I had a full-on staff. I had full-on studios, office next door, the accountants in the office. I'm paying taxes for people. I'm paying their insurances every year. I'm taking care of their families. Like I had from 21 up, I just had full-on staff members. Like I didn't realize what that meant and how much money DARP was turning and how much money we were making as a company, because that's not where our head was. Our head was so stuck in the music.
We were just young and making music, and we were so excited to make them TLC records.
I couldn't believe I had a studio where like
Stunt. TLC. I'm coming.
But back then it wasn't. It's funny because like we just looked at them as our friends that we were making
songs
with.
on.
We were doing.
I looked at them.
Fights.
I looked at each one of them as my girlfriend forever. And if Keith was with me, he'd be like, "Bro, I got Left Eye." Well, man, I got Chili. We would fight, but go ahead.
And it was only like at that time, I distribute. I mean, it's 100,000 records that come out a day. At that time, it was 3 producers here, so it wasn't 100 producers here yet. It wasn't 1,000. It was me, JD, then Speech was doing stuff, and then Organized came around, and then everything. But everybody was seeing, like, I would go to the skating rink, and I'll pull up. I see Rico Wade and them at the skating rink. I'll pull up my little phone and my little BMW that I had, and they'll be like, "Damn, Dallas is making music. Dallas making music." So Brady gave them a room in Jelly Beans, and that's where Organized Noise started, in Jelly Beans in the skating rink. That was their first studio, so they would be in there making beats while we were out there skating. So all of our impact kind of impacted each other. Like, it's nobody in this city that didn't come through DARP at some point, because we were kind of the first thing popping that we allowed other people to come in, because Bobby had Bosstown and Stink On You Now. So they had that kind of locked out, and then Doppler was kind of just too conservative. So DARP, we had the lounge. You can sit in there as George Clinton, it's Too Short, it's Diamond D, it's Eric Sermon. Because all of them started migrating from New York to Atlanta. Because what do they know down there that we don't know? So everybody came, and it started turning into like all the New Yorkers being in Atlanta.
And
right?
to add on to your point, I think it's a significant point not to miss is when Andre and them asked you that about songs, and the fact that you were able to point out, no, we're writing real songs and putting all this stuff around it. I seen that impact even like with the New York cast that would come down, because I remember Busta came down when he was all depressed about Leaders of the New, and then he started playing stuff, and I remember I was sitting in the kitchen when Dallas told him, "Bro, you know what your problem is? You don't have no hooks. You got to make hooks." And so he's teaching him how to make songs. And Busta's absorbing. You remember the time? I think it was the same conversation, if I'm not mistaken. Busta was sitting there twisting his dread, and Dallas is talking. So Dallas had this way of, whenever he's talking, everybody's listening, like soaking up game. And Busta's just sitting there twisting his dread. And after a while, it came off. And Busta was like, "Yo, B, that's ill." And we was dying. Remember that? He was dying.
And the first record he came to play me, because he would come play all these records. He was like, I'm like, "Man, that ain't true. You got to slow it down.
Hook some hooks. Yeah.
And then he came in there and he played me Woo-Ha. And I was like, there it is. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I said, you got it.
Because he went back and put a hook in it.
cracked
And
the code.
you did that for a lot of people. Like, because remember when Eric and Paris was beefing, Eric came to Atlanta. Started hanging out with him. And then I remember him talking. That was my first sessions. I was assistant. So he used to be like, "Yeah, man, this is fly. Make sure you got a strong hook." He would come in there and tell him that. Make sure you got a strong hook. That kid Keith Murray. Yeah, because Keith Murray was on that joint.
Keith Murray was on it too.
Yeah, and he was telling him, like, "Man, strong hooks." So you was teaching them without even realizing it to write songs. That's
what sold me on Atlanta, just watching the collaboration. You know what I'm saying? That was big. It was like, man, I want to be part of a community. Yeah. Even if we not working on beats together, I want to be part of the community. It wasn't about being next to Busta Rhymes or being next to this person. It was the fact that, yo, young boy, what you got?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think the other another reason why Atlanta thrived too is because Atlanta's one of those cities that a lot of people who are here aren't from here, and even the early pioneers, like you from Columbus, and then JD. Where was JD from?
North Carolina.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There was a influx, and then we all claimed Atlanta, But Atlanta didn't have that deep-rooted gang activity.
Yep.
And so what happens in cities like Chicago or L.A. or even New York is that gets in the way.
It's where you from.
Motherfuckers start
You know what I'm
dying,
saying?
Crazy.
Where
They
you
start
from?
like
dying, getting killed,
Yeah.
and then that disrupts the labels really wanting to be planted, and
Yep.
it disrupts a lot of stuff when it's that deep-rooted gang activity. Atlanta never had
I think
that.
like what Cannon was saying though, like our community. One thing we always started out is like we didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know how to stab somebody in the back standing next to you. You liked them or not. So me and JD, none of us knew about none of that. Me and Jazzy's favorite. It was Jazzy's birthday. Let's go. You know,
Just got along.
Same thing to
Yeah.
this day. We still gonna show up at everybody's Jazzy's birthday.
Facts.
Jermaine's this. Is it that? And it's just the
Facts.
respect that we have, I think, for our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
That people used to always ask me, how come I don't move out of here? And I'm like, because I'm the only Dallas here. Like,
That's right.
if I go to LA, I turn into a producer, right?
Right.
But in Atlanta, shit, I got the mayors voted in. I called the mayor on the phone. I talked to the governors. I passed bills for film. I passed bills for music now. We do it. I'm rooted here, you know. And I think that us being young and coming up young, so young, with so much money when we were young,
Yep.
we didn't even know what money was at that point because we didn't care about it like that. Like I didn't know that my consoles was $1 million a piece.
Right.
Like I didn't know that until like later on.
Right.
Because you didn't.
Willie
you didn't-
Carter.
Yeah, so I started getting in trouble. So my tax
A piece. I only had a
Just
couple.
a little bit,
You know what I'm saying?
And it was funny too, something you just touched on. So to see Malik and Jamal dissing, what's the name, Crisscross, like Dallas and
Oh,
Jermaine kind
my
of got
God.
hurt behind that because Dallas was like, "Yo, man,
We had
y'all
a
got
big problem
yeah,
over
like,
that. Like
we're friends. Now you dissing Jermaine, talking about selling Jermaine's life stories,
stories and all this.
and then
I'm like-
I was like, oh, and Dallas was like so hurt that they was dissing his friend, but that was their beef and
Right.
their shit,
Right.
and they just wanted to diss them niggas because
they thought everybody
It was the playground, the sandbox fight.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
all
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that was funny.
They thought everybody was talking about them.
Yeah.
Like every rapper think everybody's talking about them. But illegal, you know, even with by the time we got to them, and I think the impact of Atlanta was, again, it was just so young. I think it was a young community, like you were saying about LA and Face and Jimmy and Terry. They always looked adult.
Yep.
So it was like something to get to achieve, but we never felt like we was that yet. So just created a young, having the money to create young opportunities.
Yep.
You know, because I was hiring people back then. Everybody was working, whether it was Darren Prindle, or Rick, or everybody was just at work, and everybody was just cycling around money and paying it. So it became like a real business system for us at a young age.
Yeah, I felt at ease when I saw some hip hop stories, and the historians told me that it started based on them trying to go into the disco and they weren't dressed apart, and that's how I felt like when L.A. and those guys were there. It was like, man, I can't go in the party. Even my early times here, with it was Chili Pepper and all that, I wasn't dressed apart. I still had a big ass jersey on, the 6X white tee, the pinwheel hat. So I just felt like Atlanta, a company that after not going to Chili Pepper, and Velvet Room at an early age, I blended in because I learned so much of the culture of the melting pot of the city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? The bug. I want to talk about the bug, and the bug to me is, what was the first thing that gave you the bug? Like, I know the first thing. So I started, everybody in my family used to call me a prodigy in music because I started at 5 years old. I did my first wedding 6 years old, DJing. I had 2 records. You know what I'm saying? I think it was Raising Hell and I Married Woman or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And it just kept going back and forth.
Raising
I
Hell
caught crazy, right? That's all I had. I think I stole that from my mom, and I bought Raising Hell. In about 8, 9 years old, I got It Takes Two and Picking Boogers, and this is hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Biz Markie, Picking Boogers, and Rob Bass and Easy Rock was It Takes Two. That's when I got this chill that, oh shit, I really do music. Like, I'm a music guy. Yeah, even though I play basketball and all that. That was the bug that really kind of stung me, and I was like, "Oh man, I got caught. I'm bad. I'm down bad. They got me. They gonna get every dime from me for the record store. They gonna get everything." Do you guys remember when the bug hit you?
I mean, for sure. I was like 5 when I got my first record player. My
Prodigy.
grandmother was a professional musician. She was a pianist and singer. She grew up in Cuba and went to the Havana Conservatory. So I grew up with music, like, from when I was born, basically. And then I played in bands, played guitar, played piano, all through. I tried to be a classical guitar player, and my freshman year, I was like, man,
He's doing every genre.
this isn't
Jazz.
for me.
I was about to say the same thing. I was like,
I'm still fascinated by the fact that
real
you were in a
child
jazz
prodigy.
trio.
Jazz
Like,
trio.
And then so I was in a conservatory, and I was like, man, this isn't for me. And my friend, sent me the Full Sail brochure like in the mail, and he was like, "I'm going to Full Sail. You want?" I was like, "I'm there," and we just went. I just dropped it and went to Full Sail.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's it. We moved to Atlanta right after.
Then you caught the bug.
Yeah.
What was the first song that you ever mastered?
I started mastering my own band stuff. We recorded a 3-song demo in college, and I spent the summer after mastering 3 songs. Like just
That's
like
wild.
Summer. I remember my parents were like, "You need to leave your room," and I had like a PC with like SoundForge.
SoundForge. I remember SoundForge.
And I literally spent a summer mastering 3 songs.
Now 3 songs is breakfast
Yeah,
for
3
you.
songs.
Like.
He just did that just now.
It's crazy because we were just talking before, and I was like, "Yeah, man, we 10 years in the game, 11 years in the game," and he's like, "I don't know about that." I'm like, I'm thinking and thinking. He's like, "Bro, I used to master your mixtapes with Glenn Schick back in 2004." And I'm like, "Damn, we 25 years in."
25 years.
Yeah, we
God
we're
damn.
30 something. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow,
It's
that's-
crazy.
You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
That's some system. The bug.
Man, you know what? Well, kind of like him, my dad is a musician.
Yep.
And he plays with Al Demiola and
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of cats. Yeah. So he actually masters my dad's stuff and Al's stuff.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
He's the master.
Yeah.
Duh.
And so there's always music going on in my house. Whether he didn't really listen to a lot of jazz, believe it or not. It was more Latin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my pop's from the Bronx, so he listened to hip hop too.
That's right.
So he loved all that shit. He loved Tribe. He loved everything. Wu-Tang and Nas. He loved all that shit. But so there was always music going on in my crib. So but growing up, I didn't want to do music. You know what I'm saying? Because it didn't really interest me. I don't know what the fuck I wanted to do when I was a kid. I was like, what do you, like kids want to be like a paleontologist or some shit? I don't know. I was loving love KRS and I love Rakim and all that dirty grimy shit. You know what I mean? But then when The Chronic came out, right? I was like, and I
That's
had
a
this
hell of a bug.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hell
So
of a bug.
I had this conversation with my wife earlier because Nothing But a G thing came on the radio. I was like, damn, this shit. It reminds me that damn, when I heard this album, I was like, oh shit, yo, the rap can sound like this. Like it can have melodies and be clean and be like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, oh damn. So then from there, I was kind of like chasing the dragon, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, okay, I gotta make my shit sound like this. Music. So my whole thing was why our records were so big was that, of course my dad, doing all the big fusion jazz records and shit. I'm like, man, I can probably take those 2 genres, the rap and jazz fusion, kind of put them together. I don't know who the fuck's gonna rap on that shit, but I'm gonna do it. And that's how we did like all the Maybach music and shit.
Yeah.
It was really trying to impress my dad and all his musician friends.
Wow.
Ah.
That's
You know?
key right there.
Yeah.
That's key.
Like,
That's
damn, I
dope.
want my pops and them to really like this shit. Like musical geniuses.
He probably loves it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He loves it for sure.
He loves
I got him to play on the last one that you mixed. He was playing percussion on that one.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, his dad is like, he's not selling it, but he's like one of the best auxiliary percussionists in the world.
Yes, I was
Valve-
gonna say that too. I was like,
Ortiz,
Yeah.
Gumby
yeah,
Ortiz,
yeah.
like,
I was like, let's
Look up some
be honest.
videos.
He's
Yeah,
1,000%.
he's not playing.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
bad motherfucker. So he actually did some percussion for us on a track that me and
Yeah.
Collin did. And it was just one take, drop it in. I didn't have to mix it. I had nothing.
10
It was
minutes
just-
later.
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
Hey,
Damn.
you sure? Does it sound good? Does it? Because he's always like, he wants to make sure that it sounds good. But it's just perfect. I don't have to do nothing to it.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, the bug. That's
And
That's
bug.
Became obsessed with the sound of music, and that made me want to be an engineer because I was like, as long as people want to make music, they're going to need somebody that helps them put these sounds together and knows this genre goes with this genre and stuff like that. So it was the experience of the turntable up close to me that did it for me.
That
for
was
sure.
the bug. That was the bug.
Yeah.
This table, bug.
My bug was
because you got your keyboard thrown against the wall.
Right.
I'm like, that was devastating. If that happens to me, bro, I'd probably be a bad
12,
seed.
13 years old, you want to go crazy. No, my first bug was like, so my mom and them owned nightclubs in Columbus, and so the bands that would come and be the fake Earth, Wind and Fire that would play in the 70s nightclubs with the synclav, with the clavinet,
We had those too.
the clavinet, and then the drum sets, and so all that stuff would be set up. And my mom would go down and do inventory, and I would go DJ, be playing with the turntables, and then play on everybody's equipment, and then when I got, and then the auditorium for Columbus is right down the street from my mom's restaurant, so like everybody would come there first. Zapp, Roger, Lionel Richie, Parliament Funkadelic. So I would see all these guys, and I would go to the concert with all of them. So at 6 or 7, I seen the Mothership Land. That was my first concert.
Wow.
Seen Earth, Wind and Fire with the spinning drums.
I would have loved to see
So
that.
good.
And
Crazy.
so I became, and then when I remember going back to my mom's one day, and Prince had came out with "I Want to Be a Lover," and I thought it was a girl, I thought it was a woman. I looked on the back of the car because I loved the song so much. I would just play that in Soft and Wet and play all those records, and I looked in the back and it was like produced, arranged, performed. So I never knew it was different people. I didn't know the producer and the writer and all the people was different because of Prince. I thought it was one person doing everything. So I got obsessed with Get It Up, and that after Get It Up, because I would draw this stuff on my notebooks. I would draw keyboards all the time on my notebooks as a kid. And that's why I became so keyboard crazy, right? And then I started playing Get It Up from the time. And I kept playing, learning it over and over. That's when my brother came in through the keyboard. I was playing Get It Up at the time, just trying to learn it. And that's when I knew, after that point, I was like, I had already left the building. Because I would just go home and play that keyboard 24/7. I would sleep with it. I had like a water bed at the time, you know.
Yo.
I would be like J3P, just like this. I still got the keyboard.
Yo.
Waterbed is crazy work. Oh, wow.
That was my real first bug, man, is just seeing all those musicians and seeing them come to my mom's restaurant. And like one of my greatest, to me, things in life is to work with those people.
Yeah.
So I worked with George Clinton. I worked with Lionel Richie. I worked with Zapp, I worked with all these people that I would see as a kid in my mom's restaurant. So it kind of went full circle around to me a lot of times. But that's where it all started at. For me, that was my bug.
I got a lot of work. He said Lionel Richie, George Clinton.
Yeah,
I'm over
and
there.
it's
Jesus
wild when
Christ.
I was working with Dallas with George Clinton, I hearing him tell those stories, but it was dope to hear them tell those stories.
Yeah.
Like it was dope to sit around and hear. We used to call him Uncle George, and just sit around here, Uncle George telling stories about young Dallas running around, or or hear Squirt talking about Dallas was his brother had a really deep voice. And, Dallas was wild on the boards. It's crazy.
George had so much impact on Atlanta hip hop during that
Yes.
time because he would come to my studio. I might be in there on a Friday or something, and I'll see him, and I'll come back 3 or 4 days later. He'll be walking out of the same room, and I'm like, "You been here the whole time?" And he's like, "Yeah." He'd be right at the microwave, he's trying to warm up food while he's smoking, right?
No shower.
But and the engineers in the room would get high because he was high, and then they'd get mad because the smoke was coming over to the engineers, and it's not regular weed smoke. So it's
not regular weed smoke.
Gas mask.
But he would he set us
That's
down
hilarious.
in the lounge one day, and it was me, like Diamond D, it was the Goody Mob, it was Outkast, it was Eric, all of us sitting, Busta, all of us are sitting in the lounge like we all sitting right here. And he bought us the Behold the Pale Horse book. And he started telling us, hey, man, you're going to have a one card for everything. You're going to have, he started telling us, they got weather machines that's going to change the weather and all this. So we would have a whole conspiracy thing going. We're just sitting there for hours with him reading the book and going. That's why Goody Mob changed into doing cell therapy and that stuff. Because at first they wasn't doing those kind of records.
Yep.
But sitting with George, everybody started getting on the whole thing. And then he just turned into, I think, him and Too Short to be in one room, him and Eric Server be in another room, and Busta be in another room. So he just started going. George is a rapper in itself, but he really changed the course of a lot of the ways we were thinking about hip hop music sitting in the studio that day. And I think everybody, especially Goody Mob, took it from all of that stuff and it turned it into the message being more important.
Right.
But he had such an impact. He was staying there for Malik and Jamal. He was with them.
What's your bug, man?
My bug. So for me,
What's your favorite album? Let me say your favorite album is Low End Theory or no?
Low End Theory.
Ever.
And before that, the bug for me was what was dope about, and I didn't see it until I started looking back on my life. What was dope for me is the bug was how I was not forced to in one instance, yes, but how I was kind of put into the space of listening to music informed me wanting to be an engineer. So the thing is, my dad had an insane record collection. It was very eclectic. Like, you'll pull out a Led Zeppelin record, and then the next record would be Roberta Flack. You know, so it was all over the place. Remember the Roberta Flack album with the piano that folded over? Like, like all those. So I would sit out there, and I would spread out the records late at night. Didn't want to sleep. Was always a night owl. My mom would be asleep, and I'd sneak out there and listen to records. But the thing is, I was sneaking, so I couldn't play it in the speakers. My dad had these insane big headphones like the pilots had. Yeah. So I had those, and I would sit out there and listen to records and just listen to records. So I think hearing records in headphones is what made me fall in love with mixing and the sounds. Because I would be like, I'd put on the Al Green record, and the drums would be all the way over there. I'd be like, oh, whoa. And then, you know, da-da-da. And then there were also records that I think really impacted me. And there's one album that really, really impacted me. I don't talk about it as much as I probably should. 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul. When that album came out, because it was not only just the sound, it was also about the movement of being different. And they was very different. And so it was like, yo, what is this? And then I started studying Prince Paul and his sound, and it was different. So that was one of the early bugs. But I think the real bug, like the bug when I knew I was committing my life to doing music, the very first time I seen Michael Jackson was when I was watching The Wiz.
Ho. So we're gonna stop there.
Yeah.
We're about to get into that before we go into a consistency in this long.
But I was watching The Wiz.
This is gonna be at least 35 minutes in this corner. You know, it was The Wiz.
The Wiz. I saw him You Can't Win, and I was like
that's gonna be me.
So I didn't have that though. but I was so into I was like, who is this? Very first introduction to Michael Jackson was when I seen him in The Wiz, and I was like, this is crazy. And everybody's missing this part of the movie. Like, this is crazy. The You Can't Win, the way he performed that, and I was like, what? And then I started doing a deep dive on Michael Jackson.
Yeah, we about to slide. You ever see the Bahamas slide?
Yeah.
Leap of faith go in the water. We about to jump into that. Yeah. First, I want to say, yesterday he came with the ASR hat. I was highly pissed. He gifted me an ASR hat.
That's crazy.
Where did you even get an AR's hat from?
He had the lid yesterday.
Yeah, I had
he had the hit, and he decided to not be a gatekeeper. He hit me last night like, yo, that's where I got it from.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying? So I went and ordered two. I ordered the X, and I ordered the ASR. In my history, I started there, and that's why it's so important for me. I made some of my best records on that machine, both of them, the ASR X as well, which was the beat machine. And funny story is, I couldn't keep traveling with this keyboard. It was the most heaviest keyboard we've ever had. Right?
Trust the person who had to set it up for him all the time.
And I was going to Philly, back to Atlanta for school over the summer. I said, man, I got to get a beat machine or something. But I initially went to get the MPC because I had so much trouble with the MIDI time clock and all this shit. Right?
It was crazy.
Just stopping at the loop. Like in the MPC, I was watching people and it would loop. I'm like, how's my shit not looping? I couldn't line shit up. So I'm like,
the ASR would drift on you.
It would drift, but that was the magic.
That was the magic in it.
You know what I mean? So I went to get the MPC. This dude convinced me in the store. He trying to tell me all this shit. Like, yo, I'm telling you, RZA, da-da-da. I said, bro, I know about the machine, but I want an MPC. He's like, we ain't got none. That's the most sought after machine. I think it was at 2000 at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, bro, get this box. It's the exact version of the keyboard. I said, bro, I have problems with it now. We arguing in the store. I'm 17, 16 years old. My mom's like, you better get something. We getting the fuck out of here.
Right.
You ain't gonna get shit. You know what I'm saying? So I said, fuck it, bring it out. He brings it out, and it happens to be the box. I take it home. It created a monster of a career for myself, and I'm happy for this company that never show face again. It's Sonic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But here, we have ASR technicians.
Oh, yeah.
You built a career. You built a career. You built a career. I built a career. What does this machine mean to you guys? I'll start here.
I mean, for me, like I said, it meant, oh, Dallas is coming. We got to set up the ASR. So I used to set up his setup, and that was the main piece of it. I remember when you first got it, too. And when you first got it, I seen, classics made on this thing. I seen this dude write songs in – we would, do this thing where every Sunday – we would go out to his mom's house. His mom lived in Stone Mountain. So sometimes it got to a point where I was like his engineer, and it'd be me and him driving out to his mom's house for dinner. And other people would come, but they would all drive themselves. So a lot of times it'd end up being me and him. So I get in the car one night and I'm driving his Porsche because I used to drive because he's rolling the blunts. And, so I would drive. He rolling up. He just did this beat on the ASR, and it was with the West Montgomery sample. And from DARP Studios to his mom's house, which was about a 30-ish minute drive, he wrote Creep. Like, insane. I used to watch him write records on Genius mode. Like, he would write records in the car and then it was dope to see because then he would write it on the way out there. We have a good time, eat the best food ever. My bell had like the most banging food. You remember that time what's his name was out there? He was like, "Man, my bell, what is this punch you made?" And it was Kool-Aid. It's Kool-Aid. what was his name? Was it Pablo?
It was Pablo.
Pablo. He was like, "Man, my bell, what is this punch? It's so fabulous." I was like, "Man, that's Kool-Aid, bro." But so after that, we would all eat, sit around, get lazy, da-da-da, and then we'll get that second win, and that's the part I used to look forward to the most. And again, the ASR is a part of this story. That's the part I used to look forward to the most is when Dallas be like, he give me that look like, all right, time to roll, ready to roll back? We going back to the studio. We cooking all night. So I know, like, oh, we going back to lay this joint down. So I'm already ready, driving back. Okay, I got to set up, make sure the ASR 10 is locked up again and synced up and da-da-da. So that was a part of the thing. It's like looking forward to going back to the studio, getting these joints out.
What, you writing that song for them or you writing
I
a
was
song?
writing for them, but it was like
and we called Tion on the
it.
way and be like, hey, man, what you like? And this is like 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And this what we were talking about is we wasn't looking at this like a business. We was like
Fun.
Dude,
So
it
he
was
was
crazy.
Yeah.
I had left Creep up in the little studio scene.
I remember.
I left it up for like a week.
He did.
I would go in there and sing it every day, and then just walk out, not saved. I
What?
wasn't even saved.
And I used to go
That's
behind.
dangerous.
I used to go
That was
behind
so
him and
dangerous.
save
Bro, that
everything.
shit,
Not
power go off,
Yeah.
bro. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
No, but he wouldn't save it, but I would go behind him and
Okay.
save it. I would go behind him and back it up every night.
I
Smart
thought,
guy.
I thought it sounded too country, so I would just sing Creep to myself. I was just singing it to myself. Just keep it on the down low. Like, oh, that sounds too country for the girl. And the last thing I did was put the horn in because I couldn't find a cymbal crash. And I was like, fuck, I just put this horn in. Plus, the horn was on the one of every Pete Rock record. So you had to be like, right? So I didn't even pay attention to it till later. But the ASR was like,
It's everything.
it was everything. It just, just the sound of it, I think, it was closest to the 1200.
It was the closest to 1200.
Without it being the MPC, it polished things up more, but the ASR and the 1200 just kept like what he was just saying a minute ago. He's like, man, when hip hop started sounding clean with G thing, because before that hip hop was supposed to be dirty. How dirty can your snare be?
How dirty. The break beats made it real dirty.
It did.
What you thinking?
Oh man, I had a choice between the ASR 10 and the X. I tried to make beats on the X, and it was worse than the 10.
It is. and that's why I want to tell that guy. He sold me on one of the worst machines.
You had to finagle it even more to get it to work.
Bro,
Right.
terrible. Buttons
I
got
was
stuck.
I would go to different studios though. I would go to they had MPCs and stuff like that, and they would teach me how to make it or make beats on it. I was like, man, the box and the pads just didn't look like music to me. It wasn't computing.
Wow.
It was like a box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't get it. So then I went to this one studio in Tampa. He had the ASR 10 and the X, and he said, yeah, just sample this in here, and then you press this button, right? So when the sample loads up automatically across the whole keyboard.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I just pressed it, and I was like, oh shit,
Crazy.
what? You could just that's
did.
it.
His favorite to joint.
Yeah, that's it. What? I fell in love with that shit.
That whole keyboard thing is what got the creep. Ding, ding, ding.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
you hold it down, it's gonna play like
Yeah.
And I want to say one more thing too, which is kind of on topic but kind of off topic. So with that, I used to set up his ASR 10, set up his setup. Rick Shepard was his programmer, but I was the one that used to set up and when they go to the club, I would sit there and sample sounds in for him sometimes because I was a hip hop head.
I still
So,
got
some of the
those
facts.
sounds.
Yeah.
I got Leslie Brathwaite. I go to my computer right next. It's Leslo sound.
Yeah, 'cause I used to just sit there and sampling sounds for him because my thing was I wanted him to be ready when he come in. He could just sit there
Making the
and start
job
making
easy.
a beat.
Yeah.
So there were times when I would sit there and sample some stuff in there for him, and then I get the groove and I'd be like, "Ooh, this would be dope." He'll walk, and this is showing his character too. He would walk in and be like, "Oh, keep doing that. Let's go. Let's put it." And then he put me on. He gave me my first production deal because he realized, oh, Leslie know how to actually make beats. Like, and he used to be the one to be like, no, Nick, like you make beats, motherfucker. Like, because I used to be like, no, this is your thing. Go finish it. He'd be like, no, let's do this shit together. Like, we made a beat for Shanice. Remember that joint we did?
Sure did.
I did one on Monica's first album. I did like a couple little joints because he was always like,
I thought he was gonna take off more producing than a mix of the tape. Because he caught that bug.
I was on it for a minute. Yeah, 112.
Yeah.
Like it was going crazy from it. But he would. I'm saying his character was. Other motherfuckers would come in and be like, yeah, nah, get off my shit. Yeah. Where he was like, he saw the potential and he would encourage me, no, let's finish that out. Let's do that together. Like, oh, run that, loop that. Yeah. Okay, and then he'll come in and put some, and I'm sitting there like, he's working on some shit I started? This is crazy. Yeah. Like, so it was always dope energy like that. But the ASR.
I do got a question on Creep. He said there's a horn on the one or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that to cover up the loop? Like, you know,
sometimes turn around.
You know, sometimes the ASR loops and it's kind of a little off or whatever.
A little off, and it had to like. That's why the horn took over the thing in it because it was.
I used to put
drifting,
crashes.
but it's what you kind of liked about it.
We all did crashes because that's the only time you knew when it was going to start over.
Yeah.
And then I did the same thing. And what was funny,
in love with crashes for that reason.
Right. And what's funny about Dallas, like, still, even though, like, Dallas will always sneak a sample in there. So, like, you'll be grooving and you'll be like, wait a minute, this motherfucker just put Slick Rick in here? Slick Rick? Like,
I came off of 50 samples and got Slick. I'm just use one instead.
Yeah. Because I don't think I noticed the Slick Rick sample until I was tracking it out. Until it was time to track out the beat, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Guess who's
that was
back?
the most important part of the sample.
Yes. And
the whole beat is incredible, but when you hear guess who's back, it was like, oh.
Yeah, he killed that shit.
He killed the whole game.
This one sampling was super fun.
Yeah, man.
Super fun. Understudy, and these just y'all too. Being an understudy, how important is it? You talked about Glenn Schick. You talked about the things before. You talked about Leslie. I mean, I'm sure I've understudied. He has. But this is particularly for y'all. Understudying, how important is it?
With me for mastering, it was more just like listening to other people's stuff and studying it, like sonically. And I think that a lot of people like miss that when they're maybe trying to like look at other people's like settings and plugins and what plugin are you using and I didn't.
It's not the Arrow, it's the Indian.
I didn't start. I didn't start with good gear, man. Like I started with like, you know, like bare bones minimum and like figured out how to do it with that and actually came up with some like original techniques because I didn't have all the equipment that the other guys had. So while it's good to have like good equipment and pick it like carefully, I think studying other people's stuff, like I would really study like Bernie Grunman's masters and Bob Ludwig's masters.
Bernie was truth.
Yeah, and later on, Tom Coyne was amazing. Like Miles used to use Tom Coyne and some of his stuff. Yeah. So I would like really study like those guys' sounds and try to like match it up. And then when I started mastering more records, bigger records, I would be working on albums with those guys a lot of times.
That's right.
So then sometimes I'd be redoing certain songs where they would be like, hey, you know, they're not happy with this dude's master because it's distorting. Like, what can you do? And like, I get to like listen to like what they're doing with the same mix and stuff. So I think studying other people's sounds and coming up with it. One time I remember I had to go, what song? I can't remember what song it was, a rock song. And I was working on it, and Bob Ludwig was working on it too. And I heard he did some crazy thing in the stereo field, and I was like, damn. And I still like do that sometimes to this day on certain records where it's like I need to make it sound warm, but I don't want to like make it muddy. And I totally learned that just from listening to one of his records.
Yeah, I always say understanding is the training wheels. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And you know when you come into yourself, you drop the training wheels, almost like riding a bike. You know what I'm saying? What you thinking?
When you understudy, it's funny because you might go in thinking, I need this. And, you know, I was like, I need to learn all Leslie's secrets. I need to learn all the secret gear he uses. He doesn't use anything. So I was super disappointed because I'm super technical. And I was like, I'm about to unlock everything.
A big fact.
And I'm showing him some technical stuff. I'm like, this is backwards.
Yeah.
But Leslie showed me exactly what I needed. And it was like all the other things that go into making a record, you know, because my brain is so technical. I was going to figure that out on my own.
Right.
But like the why. What's special about this? This is the magic part of the record. Make sure you focus, start here. Mix vocals first. We're not making karaoke music. That's a Leslie special right there.
Yep.
And, you know, that's something I carry to this day. And it was even like
Put that in my
personality.
pocket. I never heard that one.
Oh, you don't know
I
about
used to
that?
say it all the
It's
time.
right there, yeah.
I used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
This ain't
Put that in my
karaoke
pocket.
music.
That's right.
Come on, man.
But I mean, it was even more than just that. It was like my personality, because Leslie, I'll never forget it. You know, when I got there, I was on fire as an intern. I was running around, get this, plug it in real fast. Leslie was like, "Hey, man, you need to slow down. You you this white dude running around in a room full of black people. You making people nervous. Like, calm down." And he was right. Like, I had to settle down. You know? 'Cause I
True
came from
story, though.
Nashville, where it was like everything's fast, got to move quick. That was the culture. You know. And I came to Atlanta. I had to get some of that lemon pepper
I would
sauce.
be like, "Hey Miles, can you plug in?" And Miles would jump
Running.
over the table.
Yes,
like,
he's not
'cause
lying.
He was so on it. And I used to
Yeah.
be like, "Bro, you could walk
Yeah.
over there. You ain't gotta fly over the table." He was making
Make
Jeezy
people
nervous. Like,
Exactly.
Jeezy got 5 guns
Yeah, I
on
was
the
like,
table.
pistols everywhere.
He want to jump over the table to plug in a compressor. And Jeezy like,
Yeah, click, click. Yeah.
I'm like Miles.
But you know, that was the best part of it, was Leslie could see what I needed,
Right.
and he was able to give me what I needed, even
Right.
when it wasn't what I thought I
Believe
was
that.
looking for.
Believe
So,
that. Believe
you know,
that.
when you're in that space,
Believe
you'll
that.
get what you need.
We're going to stick here for a minute. So, this is a documentary, movie, Broadway play, y'all history, right? I'm happy to see y'all in the room together. You know what I
Same.
mean? When y'all first came in, the genuine hug was like, bro, I ain't seen my fucking brother in fucking years. I still
Same.
love you to death. But
sure,
you know how much I love you, Dallas said to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had to get that moment on camera, because those are the times where when we're working in this industry, we build such great relationships. We drift off because we get over here. You got your own personal family going on. You got this other stuff going on. And we're doing so much. And you come back and it's like y'all never left.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
because and what I always talk about with that is, like, when you look at our trajectory and how we like we work like I just described. We spend a Sunday together at his mom's house,
Yep.
then we go back and work,
Yep.
and then we would
We
do
was together.
vacations together.
We were together 24/7.
Yeah, I fell in love with snowboarding because of him. He would go on ski vacations, and then he would bring us on vacations and da. And so what happens is you build a rapport. And I always say this. Whenever you see people on trial, we ain't gonna name no names. When you see people on trial and you see a lot of people lining up to do that person dirty, that is an indictment of how that person lived.
That's right.
And so one thing I promise you that everybody that has been in his universe will tell you. We all say it all the time. I talk to Myra at least 3 times a week. I talk to Joy all the time. I talk to different people. And we've all fallen out with each other. We've all had beefs, all the things. One thing I always tell people, you will never get me to get on the stand and testify against him.
That's right.
For any reason.
Character.
Remember when that girl was trying to sue you over the lyrics to Unpretty?
Oh yeah, no,
And
it was what's his name? It was Glover
Yes, yeah.
from In Living Color.
Yes, but there was a girl
Girl was-
involved too.
yep,
But
sure was.
but you remember when the attorneys called, and this is how you know. So the attorneys called. They called me. They wanted to subpoena me and like make me testify. And they went in and they had a little mini deposition and they explained all the shit to me. And I looked at that lady, the attorney lady, and I was like, "Here's the thing." I said this to her. I was like, "There's nothing you can offer me, give me, show me that would make me testify against him.
That's right.
Nothing.
That's right.
Absolutely nothing."
That's right.
So I'm gonna ruin y'all case if you think, because what they were trying to do is get me to say that he didn't write it, and I was like, "Are you crazy?" Like, and what I'm saying is, even if I felt that way, or even if we had beef at the time, so that kind of brotherhood thing, it never goes away.
That's right.
My kids, when my son was born, Leslie would run the microphones. Had a bedroom at dark, so Leslie would run a microphone into the bedroom, and then so we could hear him crying through the speakers while we're working.
While we're working. Yeah.
Wow.
That same kid, he sent to Full Sail.
Yeah.
Wow.
He sent
Yeah.
both of my kids to Full Sail. So
Yeah.
we went full around. When I got him and Carlton, they came from Full Sail, And so to see my kids go, and then he sends them to Full Sail to get them the scholarships and stuff with them, just went full circle. And now my son's my engineer now. So it's
Crazy.
When I say this is a movie,
Yeah, it's
this is a
crazy.
movie.
Yeah, I literally used to set up a mic. I used to have a mic
Set
on
a microphone.
Like, that was the most expensive baby monitor ever. It's like an AKG2 mic. Like, the gold AKG2 mic. I used to put it in there. Yeah. So I was like, only the best for Dallas. I mean,
That's some dedication, consistency.
yeah. I'm like, we gotta get the work done.
It led you guys to crafting some of the biggest records, but one of the things that consistently brought you was Mike Jackson. And the only reason I'm speaking of Mike Jackson, not only is my favorite artist, him and Stevie, Mike is the most popularized, the most iconic person we ever. They say it's only thing close to stop signs in every country is Michael Jackson, and now they saying Snoop Dogg. Like you see those faces.
Right.
You know, Eminem's a runner up, Elvis is a runner up, but Mike Jackson is like. You know what I'm saying? We talked about him driving in Cali and him pulling up to a light and be on Ventura. And you're looking at him like, why is he driving? But people are never gonna recognize it. He's so famous that you think it's fake.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Going from Atlanta to producing the hits for Boyz II Men and all these things. Why did Michael Jackson call y'all motherfuckers?
I was wondering the same thing at the time.
Well, I can answer that. I'll answer part of that before you get into it. I'll answer part of that before you get into it, and it goes back to what I said. Atlanta influences everything.
That's right.
And Michael, I remember when Cher. It's so funny. Cher had me mix a couple songs on her farewell tour album. Rodney Jerkins had produced them, and something I learned from him is you always get to know the artist first, build a rapport with the artist. When she came down, the first day I can tell she was a little out of sorts.
Yep.
We were sitting there, and I said, man, you want to just go hang out for a minute? I literally just said that. It was just me and her in the room. We went to a baseball game, me and her. And I asked her, I said, man, what made you pick me to mix these records? Like, because her management team was very adamant. And what she said was, yeah, well, you mix So Fresh and So Clean. And I was like, so off top, I'm sitting there looking at her like, you listen to Outkast? Like, you're Cher. So, but it again reinforced my point that Atlanta influences everything. Outkast had everybody. That's the same story Pharrell will tell you. Pharrell told Karen Veazey, who used to work with him at the time, who used to work for Dallas, he told her one time, hey, man, we got to find the guy that makes So Fresh and So Clean.
Yep.
Like, so Atlanta culture. So I think Michael understood hearing the Madonna records and everything and went and got him and was like, no, we gotta work
I
with
consider y'all aliens. There's only a couple that I know. You know, Lil Wayne.
So let me tell us
Pharrell.
Let me tell us a brief story.
Dallas Austin, Leslie Brathwaite.
Let me tell
y'all
us-
are the aliens.
let me
When they
tell us
tell
a
me y'all
brief
believe in
story.
aliens, I'd be like, yeah, it's 4 of them that I know. You know what I'm saying?
let me tell this brief story. So the night that he was talking about earlier when we were all meeting up, where he had already been out there, and then he came back home, and then Mike called him, and they were on speakerphone, and we're in the small room in Dub called the C room. We had a setup in there. So he starts talking to Michael. So, of course, half my brain is like, oh, my God, he's talking to Michael Jackson. What is my life right now? So then.
Wait. You're talking on the phone with Michael Jackson. How does that start? Yo, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Dallas, what's going on?
Did he speak before you speak? He spoke before you spoke?
Because
You were like, hello.
him and Dave Gates was already out there. And then he came back, and he was like, he was so hurt. Like,
He was hurt that I left.
Yeah. He was like, why'd you guys leave?
Why'd you leave? What happened? I'm like, man, I didn't want to be a part of all that bullshit going on.
So then Mike
Come
starts
back,
talking
look at
to
me.
him to come back. So I'm calculating in my brain, oh, okay, Dallas going to be gone for a while. Maybe I should just set up in here. Maybe you know what? And I'm talking to Carlton across the room while they're on the phone. I'm like, we're going to do our sampling camp while he's gone. You know, he's going to be gone for a month. So let's just set up. Let's get all the records in here. I'm like orchestrating already. Like, let's get all the records in here. You'll probably leave tomorrow. And then Dallas goes, yeah, and I'm going to bring my engineer Leslie and da-da-da. You remember in the Pepsi commercial when Alfonso Ribeiro bumped into Michael?
I do.
And you remember the look on his face? Yeah. That was the look on my face. When he said that, I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then even after that, I was like, okay, he probably said that because I was in the room, da-da-da. Then this motherfucker gets on the phone and calls Dave and was like, hey, man, get Leslie some tickets to come out. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's get. Did we bring Carlton? No, we didn't bring Carlton. We left Carlton. But he was like, yeah, bring Leslie, bring Rick. bring Tommy. Let's all go out and just make this a thing. And I'm like, it's getting serious. They're getting me tickets. This is real. I lost it that night. Like, bro, I went home and cried, bro. Like,
Joe, I don't blame you.
I went home and cried because remember I think I told you this story where, for me, this wasn't, and I think for all of us, this music thing is like spiritual for me. Like, this is something I had to do. Like, my very first check I got from DJ Kizzy Rock for mixing Shake It, Shawty, Yeah. Very first check. And I promised myself, I'd made a promise to God that whenever I get my first check, I would never cash it because it was for him. And it was my covenant to God, like, that it was never going to be about the money. To this day, I still got a check. Remember I told that story? I still got a check from Tommy Boy. It was $3,500, and I needed it. Like, needed it. And I wasn't getting $3,500 at the time. Alvin Spites told them to pay me. You see what I'm saying? Alvin Spice was like, nah, pay that man. I wasn't even getting that even after I mixed that record. But it was DJ Kizzy Rock. And so I'm saying that to say, I went home and cried that night. I was like, yo, I can't work with Michael. Like,
So what's it like? You're calling your mom. You're like, yo, so look, I'm about to go see Mike Jackson.
Well, you know what? That's why I say it was funny because I was so obsessed with Prince and Jimmy and Terry. That I was like, hey, I guess I'm going to go back to work with Michael again. And it wasn't until that day we was sitting in and they kept putting the tapes in that I realized, like, damn, that's Michael Jackson. Like, this is working. He's flying around in jetpacks and shit. I'm like,
He said jetpacks.
yeah, bro. And the more he kept putting, he just had the mask on and he had the hat on. So the more he kept putting stuff in, I look over at him. So he'd be looking at us to see our reaction. And this is when you know somebody's huge.
Right.
When he tells you, so I want some horns like that band. You know that band? You know with the horns? I'm like, what, Earth, Wind, and Fire? Yeah, those guys. I'm like, ooh.
let me tell you how you know. Let me tell you how you know he's huge for real. We all sitting around one night talking. And we having a debate. Who's the best rappers? So I'm front and center in the debate now because I'm the hip hop guy. I'm the hip hop head. So I'm like, nah, it's Biggie. And then Dave is like, nah, it's Pac. And then we going back and forth. This was obviously when both of them were still alive. And then finally, Michael, the next day, Biggie's in the studio.
He hit me that day
to do This Time Around.
What?
Me and him were working on This Time Around, right?
Wait. Before you go to based on y'all conversation, he was
Us
like, "Oh, bring
arguing.
Biggie in."
We thought that
That's
we were
what he
thinking
did.
that when for a rapper on it, we was thinking, okay, it's Mike, so we got to get Tretch or somebody. You got to get somebody that ain't gonna be too hard, right?
Right.
And when he said Biggie, I was like, Biggie? He said, yeah, you know how to get him? So yeah, I called off. I was like, yo, man, we need Biggie to come out and work on Michael Jackson. He said, he there, he on the way now. So next day, me and Biggie sitting in the car, right? And he's smoking and he's pinching himself like this. And I'm like, you good? He's like, yeah, man, I'm just pinching myself, dog. I'm sitting in the car with you about to write a song for Michael Jackson. This is crazy, right? And then when he wrote the rap, we sitting in the car and he wrote the rap, said, listen to this. And I was like, oh no, man! I got motherfuckers jocking me, taking the profit seed. You know, it's like I was like, I'm gonna kill a nigga. I ain't joking. And dope got me smoking. I'm like,
and Michael like,
and
we like,
Michael-
what is happening right now? Like,
bro, I said, look, I think this is gonna be a little too hard. You got nigga and motherfuckers and shit, and all shit going
Michael
on in
didn't
there.
give a fuck.
I'm gonna kill a nigga. I ain't joking. Endo smoke got me talking. I was like, that might be a lot for Michael, but I'll tell you what, let's just play it for him and see. Let him say that. All right, we play it. He'll. That's exactly what I wanted to say.
Yo,
I was like, what is my life right now? Like,
yo,
When you listen to that rap to this day, you're like,
yeah,
Joe,
that was wild.
Biggie and
Going
Mike
off on
in
that.
one room.
and
Wow.
at the time, Big was probably 19. He was young.
Yeah,
he
he
was
was young.
like,
But that was good though to see. He was like pinching himself, like, "I'm with you first."
yeah.
He ain't
was
said, "Mike, I'm with you."
I'm sitting in the car with you, dog. We making a song with Michael Jackson. This shit's crazy.
Crazy.
Yo, that's crazy.
He had some. One of the things that was magical about him that was a trip is like if we'll be sitting in a room like like a lounge like this, and you just see a streak. And me and Rick will look at the same time, so we know we saw something. I'm like, did you just see that? He's like, yeah. Like I'm like, what is going on, bro? Like, I felt like he was like. For real, he had some other kind of energy that was not from this world.
And that was my experience when I first got there. So it's like the first 2-3 weeks, I didn't see Michael. So I started feeling like, okay, I ain't gonna meet this motherfucker, but it's cool. I'm still working on Michael. But he would just, like he said, we would be sitting in there, and it was a glass behind our control room, and everybody just be like, I think that was him. We all run to the door and be like, yo, I think that was Michael.
What was he doing? Running?
He would just be flying through the studio so
like,
fast. He would move so fast.
You just see
and
a
he
red
never,
streak.
And then,
What is he doing?
and then one night he finally came in the studio and spoke. And so, okay, we did get to meet Michael. And then the next couple of days, so what would happen is we all had, what was those Jeeps? We all had them Jeeps. They rented us different Jeeps at the Montero Sport joints.
Yes.
Oh, Montero Sport.
And so they would all go driving and smoking in the hills and writing songs and da-da-da. I would go beeline straight to the studio to get everything set up because my thing is I'm the engineer. Everything has to be perfect.
Yep.
So I go in there, and my cadence was the OJ trials had started. So my cadence was I'd be in the kitchen every day eating some food, watching the OJ trials. And one day, this is my first encounter with him personally, he walks in the kitchen and he goes, "You think he did it?" And I was like, and my whole body, I couldn't think of nothing else but the fact that Michael Jackson spoke to me. So I'm like, Michael just spoke to me. That's crazy work. Like, I'm going crazy.
What do you do? What did you say?
And I was like, yeah, I actually think he did. And then we talked about it for like a little while. And then it became a thing. Like, every now and then for the next few days, it went on for a while where I would show up, I would eat my lunch, watch the trials. He would come in every now and then and kind of sit there. I was like, damn, this is the wild. Like, what is my life? I'm having lunch, watching OJ trials with Michael Jackson.
I still got his beatboxes though, because he would go in the studio first and be like, "Dallas, I want something like." First he'll tell us, "I don't want anything that sound like what I did." All right, so I want something new. So all right, cool. So
then he go
but
do
then
everything
he'll
that
go
sound like what he did.
Now put the beat over that. Now, by the
Yo.
time I do that, it sounds just like all the.
And then Dallas would sit there doing the beat, and then he'll come in and be like, I just want more sticks.
Yeah, put more sticks.
I need sticks.
So by the time I add them sticks, it's gonna be right back where we started.
That was a wild.
I still got his
Remember that
beatboxes.
night when he so the group Quo that was signed to him. Remember that night they had the tear gas guns?
He set off tear gas guns twice in the
Yes,
studio.
and they shot out. They're like, so they're in the booth, and we're seeing them interacting, right? It's him and the dudes from Quo, and we in the control room, we chilling. And all of a sudden, we see them motherfuckers start coughing a lot, hacking up, da-da-da. And then all of a sudden, and I don't know if you ever experienced tear gas, but it feels all-encompassing, like it just comes. So all of a sudden, I was like, what is happening to me? Do I have an allergy? Did I touch something? I didn't know what the fuck I was feeling. And then we all just shuffling out the studio, Michael by the door, standing there going, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like, what happened? Like, I set off tear gas guns in the studio
Everybody in the
by
studio
accident.
Everybody in the studio just choking, crying. It was like every day it was something.
Why did he have a tear gas gun?
We don't know.
He did it twice too. It wasn't just one day. He did it twice. Oh my God, I did it again by accident. Everybody get out of the studio. Get out of the studio.
He was doing that on purpose. He just wanted to have fun. He was a big kid. Yeah, he was a big kid.
And that's when he was telling us when we were standing outside or trying to air out the tear gas. That's when the security be talking to us. I'm like, yeah, man, you know we was in Moscow doing that whole time. Watching everybody laying on TV and this, that, and the other. And then I started. That's how you start seeing how big people really are when you sit 3 months with them. You start to get to like settle in. You start
Absolutely.
like this is actually pretty scary. Actually,
Yeah.
The impact. Even when I was working with Madonna, it was the same way of like you're making with somebody so big that first you got to just get it right for a day or two of just trying to figure out what's going on, and then you settle in with them. You start seeing stuff like the castles and shit. And you start like, damn, who is this? Like, how do they do? It starts to turn into another level, especially for us because we from Atlanta.
Facts.
And we hadn't done too much. We hadn't been to too many places at that time. So working with just I think superstars. Period. One of the things that they both had in common when it comes to Atlanta is they wanted what was sounding like Atlanta.
That's right. That's right.
It was like you did Creep. I want something that sound like this.
Right.
And so even with Madonna coming down and spending all the time she spent. I can't believe she came here and did this concert not long ago and called me out in the damn concert.
She called you out, yeah.
Oh my God, it was
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
You gotta bring that up.
What'd she say?
What?
I was thinking I would bring it up after we were off.
What'd she say?
Sitting there with my girlfriend, and they called and they said, Madonna, I want to make sure you come to the show tonight. And at first I was like, to the Madonna show? Okay, I go, It's okay, cool, So I go and she got me sitting right in the front of the stage. And the show's going on through the whole thing and everything else. And then right in the middle, she starts going, she said, yeah, I was in Atlanta. Yeah, I came down to work with this producer. And then I was like, oh, shit, where's this going? And then she just started a rant for like,
Dallas, you broke my heart.
broke my heart.
Yo.
I mean, then they got me on the fucking screen.
Yo.
Right? She's like, you treated me like shit. You broke my heart. You did. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, you promised me all these things. I even had a spiritual healer try to put voodoo on him, and it didn't work.
Yo.
She said this on the microphone in the State Farm.
Yeah.
And
What?
it kept going.
Yeah.
She talked about the woods. She talked about Rick's house. She was like, we would go out into the countryside to this house with a lot of trees. I don't remember where it was. And we would work in that basement, and we would just work on songs every day. And I fell in love with him. And I'm like, and I got the crowd looking at me. Oh, the gang guys was like, you did that to her? No, let me get out of here. It turns into a fucking. And then she tops it off. We're going, but that's okay. It was your loss. And then she goes, first I was afraid, I was petrified.
Yo, a
She started
dedication.
singing fucking I Will Survive.
That was hard. That was a good
Oh
setup.
man,
Dude, I didn't know what happened. I felt like a bus hit me.
she still needed closure, bro.
She did.
Yo, that is
And then
wild.
she's right. She did try to get the spiritual lady Elsa
She did.
to put a thing on me. You guys got to get married. You got to have a child. You got. I was just kind of like, I'm from Atlanta. I don't know.
Remember when she first? So what's funny is this all tracks now because I didn't put it together until I'm literally about to say it. So one time she comes to the studio. He's out driving around, smoking, doing whatever. I think I might have this wrong, but was that the time when you had probably just got a new car and you were like riding around?
No,
And
she's
she
trying
had
to
the
get me
city
a
of
new car.
Atlanta.
There was the purple Porsche. She's trying to give me the purple
She had the city of
Porsche.
Atlanta police looking for him
Looking for
because
me.
he was late for the session.
Yeah.
True story. And I was like, and then when she came into Studio B, she was like, somebody died in here, and then she had all the holy
All
water.
the
brought
holy
in,
waters and all of that whole.
we come in the next day and it's like holy water and crosses. And I'm like, what is my life? Like I probably said that sentence more than anything else hanging out with him. Like
I'm working on her, and Babyface is working with her next, right? But she's mad that they put her and Dennis Rodman on the front of Vibe, and then Quincy called and said take them off because Vibe's supposed to be for black people, right? So now I'm in the studio with that. Right. All he does is mess with white women, and he's gonna take me off the cover. And so she's pissed, and she's going to the vocal booth. She's slamming the door. So she's like, "Let's go." I'm like, "Okay." Then Babyface calls. So I'm like, "Hey man, what's happening?" Get off the fucking phone. I'm like, he's like, "Is that her?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's coming to you next." I'm like, "I'm
This
sorry.
all tracks
This
now.
is Babyface. I don't give a fuck who it is. Get off the fucking phone." I'm like, okay.
Yo,
this tracks now. I didn't realize that. Okay,
I heard,
It's
is it
starting to
true?
make
I heard
sense.
that she got like wax all over the SSL or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Was
Yeah.
that true?
candle wax.
Candle wax.
Wax.
Yes.
All over everything.
Yes, we had to literally take all
Take the whole
modules
console
out.
apart.
Guess who had to clean off the candle wax?
But this lady Elsa, this spiritual lady that was in Miami, told her verbatim that me and her were supposed to have this child. So that's where we hadn't even worked yet, right? And all I'm concerned with is I want to work with Madonna. I don't want to even go here. I just want to this Madonna I want to work with, right? But this lady told her that, and it got stuck in her head. She got obsessed with it. So
I can't believe she said
all the time we was I was just trying to say, okay, well let's just work first, and like we can let's
Baby
around
later,
whatever.
maybe.
Yeah, but let's work
We'll
first.
talk about it.
So she didn't like that, of course. So that started going to hell at some point. And then when the Secret video comes out, her manager calls me and says, "You're not gonna like this." I said, "What?" I said, "Shot the video, right?" She goes, "We was thinking she's gonna shoot it in London with the black cars. Like my baby's got a secret, ooh,
Yeah.
He said, "You're not gonna like this." I said, "What do you mean I'm not gonna like it?" He said, "Well, it's a guy in the end of the video holding the baby. It's supposed to be you." I said, "You gotta be kidding me, bro." So if you look at that video to this day, you'll see a guy in the end that looks like me in a tank top sitting there holding the baby, and then she does like a smirk into the screen or some crazy shit. And this had nothing to do with this. This had nothing to, this is not what the song is about at all whatsoever. He's like, "I thought you'd be pissed off about it." And I was like, I am. So then I wrote her this letter. Because me and Tommy Martin, remember that song No we did?
Yeah.
We did this song called No with just
Yeah.
acoustic. And they didn't want to pay for the master after it was done because it was like, it's just acoustic. So I said, all right, well, it's Madonna. I'll keep it. But if I was y'all, I would get it from me. So I kept the master. After she went off and did the whole crazy baby thing or whatever else, we kind of fell out because I was like, that's messed up. And then she said, well, she said something like, my struggle, you should understand my struggle because it's a lot like the black man or something like that, she said. My pen went crazy. I wish I sent it the letter. So I fell out with her for a while, and then she was doing a Vita. And she had Nelly Hooper mix the song. I got pissed. She just did a whole thing. She had Nelly mix my song with somebody else. She was just sending off fire and things. But then I thought about it one day. I'm like, why am I sitting here with no bad energy with anybody in the whole world? I'm not a bad energy person. It's a fucking Madonna. I gotta squash this. So I call her, she's doing a Vita, and I was like, oh hey, she said, just Dallas. Yes. Okay. What did I do? What did I do now? What did I do to deserve this? And I was like, no, you know what? I just want to tell you, I appreciate everything. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. You're right. It's your record. I shouldn't be pissed off at what you like about your record. You don't care who mixed it. If you like the mix, then I should be happy that you like the mix, right? And I just want to squash the air and clean all that out and say I learned a lot from you. It was the most amazing thing ever. And she was like, wow, we can be friends again? We can be friends again.
Well, wait, when did she do the arena thing? This was
That
recent?
was
now.
like last year.
This was
Yeah.
now when she just came here. And she's pointing. I'm standing like she's pointing at me. I'm on the jumbotron. You broke my heart. I can't believe you treated me like shit.
That's crazy.
That's
Did you go backstage after?
No. As soon as she got to the next song, I'm out of here. Because
Right.
all these people looking at me now and like,
Bro, you got to get
30,000
home.
people
They
looking
ready
at
to
me
beat
and
your
everything.
ass.
And
You did
everybody I
that?
walked through the crowd was like, you did that to her?
Right.
What?
And then you had to explain that to your girl.
She was just in shock.
Yeah, she was like,
She ain't never known about none of it.
Did you see her before the show backstage or
No.
anything?
He just,
didn't
he
invite
just
you
went to the
back? I
show.
figured she probably invited you
that's
back before.
crazy work.
No,
Wow.
bro. See,
That's
I
so crazy.
jetted out of there. I was like, this is not good right now. Like all these people looking at me like I done did something wrong with Madonna.
I got a funny story too. I was working with Uzi last year on his last project, and I get to the studio, Madonna's laying on the couch,
For the Uzi section?
and it's about 10 people in there.
Yeah.
About 10, 12 people in there. I walk in, my crew with me. I got 3 people with me. We walk in, everybody's walking past. I stop in the middle of the doorway. I said, yo, I know Madonna not sleeping on this fucking couch. What the fuck is going on? So the music's blaring. She's just chilling. She got a full bodysuit. She's chilling. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I see a BBL, and I'm like, yo, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? I see this big ass. I'm like, hey, what's going on? So then I'm walking over. So I go to the engineer. I go to Ben first. I'm like, yo, y'all know that's Madonna on the couch? He's like, word. I said, quick. I said, all right. So I walk to my people. They old enough to know. I said, that's Madonna on the couch. They're like, word. I'm like, yo, y'all niggas is tripping. So I look at Uzi, he like, he only person knowing this motherfucker, right? I'm like, all right. So I'm in there, and I do my second round. I said, dog, do you know that's Madonna on the couch? Then they like, no. So I said, oh, these dudes don't know what's going on. I start texting them in the group chat. That's Madonna on the couch. Everybody goes, oh shit, what? I never even noticed. She got her glass on. She's just chilling. She's up. The music stopped at one point, and she's like, anybody got some red wines or some Twizzlers or something to eat? And everybody's just in there like it's just this regular girl in the studio. I'm like, bro, y'all are tripping, bro.
That's
They
funny.
figured it out.
I remember
later,
when you
though.
called me with
Yeah,
that.
they figured it out later. She wound up doing a photo shoot for her page. I'm in the background by accident because I'm standing over like telling Ben what to do. But the person's taking a picture, so it's through the glass, and it's just my big tall ass and her taking this sexy ass picture in the booth. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, that shit was on the internet. It's crazy,
Crazy
right?
work.
Did you ever get the Prince call?
Well, this was a crazy call because Prince, you know, for some reason, he thought I owned like I don't know record stores or something like that. But I get a call. I go to Paisley Park with him and L.A. Reid. And now I'm freaking out because this is my first time meeting Prince for real.
Yeah.
You know, he wrote letters and stuff before to me, like doing TLC. You know, this is my favorite group and all that stuff. But seeing it was my first time. And he walks right up to us, and he's like walking down this long corridor. I can feel myself sweating more as he's walking down the corridor. He's got his cane with him, you know. I'm like, there he is. That's him. That's him. That's him. He comes right up to me. He puts his cane in my face and goes, Michael Jordan should make his own Nikes. And I was like, what?
Wait, that's the first thing he said?
First thing he said.
Icebreaker.
Come with me. Okay, so now I'm following him. I'm like, he's walking through and he's like, see this room right here? I make all my clothes in here. Like, all of a sudden, it's like his perfume, his lace, everything's in his room. Like, you tell that's where he make his clothes at. Like, cool, say, come here. I'm walking behind him, like, damn, this dude is like, you know, so we go to, then he walks into a room, and it's like the SSL room, and he goes, give me 1 second. And he turns on the mic and he goes, bet you by golly, wow, wow. Bet you by golly, wow, wow. He's doing the harmonies to bet you by golly, wow. We standing there, and then he goes, okay, come on, let's go over here. So we get out of there. He walks us back to the big room, right? And then the band has been rehearsing since 7 a.m, right? So he goes, I tell you what, come back tonight. I'm gonna play your show. And I said, for me, yeah, just come back tonight. We're gonna do a show here. So this is when the internet was kind of new, so probably like 20 people showed up. And then he comes out full moving sidewalk, smoke, everything, like full on concert, right? And Lenny had told me before, like the dude call you on stage, don't go, like, because he gonna try to outplay you on everything, so just don't go. So I'm like, all right, cool. I ain't even worried about that. I'm just enjoying. He's like, Dallas, what you want to hear next? I'm like, she's always in my hair. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, because he wants his band to be, whenever he wants to play, he wants them to be able to play it. So he was kind of doing a run. And then all of a sudden he starts to be like, you know, I got one of my favorite producers in the house. You know, Dallas, come to the stage. Oh, I'm not going to that stage. I'm not going to that stage.
Come to the
Security
stage.
comes over.
Oh man.
I take the stage. I said, no, I'm good, man. He said, no, I got to take you to the stage. You can tell him you're good. So I'm like, damn. So I go up to the stage. So I'm not going to go near a guitar. I know that. So I'm going to go to the organ. All right, cool. I got it. So I'm playing the organ. Now we got a little jam section going. I'm like, this cool. This ain't so bad. Right? I'm feeling the vibe. I turn my head back around. He done went and put on a big fucking remote keyboard. Like, he took his guitar
Picked
off.
it up.
He went and got a keyboard. Come on, get some. And he is, where am I at?
Trying to battle.
So I just turned the volume down on the organ I'm playing and just act like I'm doing it with him, because there's no way you can compete with Prince.
Right.
No way.
No
And
way.
then he comes to Atlanta, and he has a show here, and so I said, man, I had told him a few days before that, I said, man, you should take your name Prince back, you know, because D'Angelo had did How Does It Feel, and you know, he sent some kind of fax through till L.A. Reid to change the pipelines. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but
Right.
cool, right? So I go to the Tabernacle for the show, and because he asked me to come early, and he's sitting with all the radio people in Atlanta, Ryan Cameron, everybody's sitting there, and he looks like the old Prince cover. So I'm like, maybe he's gonna play Prince. He got his hair different, you know. So I walk in and go, Dallas is here. Now I got some backup. So I'm like, oh, what I just walk into? Right? He goes, so I'm telling these people right here that they all slaves, because they can't play my record. They a slave to their. I said, whoa, slaves. Yeah, he's a slave. He's a slave. He's a slave.
He said, whoa.
So I'm like, I got to deal with these people when you leave. You know what I'm saying?
It's Atlanta here.
Yeah. He points out one guy, says, you can't play my record, right? And he said, well, I could play it, you know, but you can't add it. Yep, see, slave. You can play my record, right? He goes, I got a gospel station. I got songs about God. I got songs about God. He said, yeah, but you're Prince. I can't have slave. Next slave. Damn. So I'm like, damn, you know, I'm just gonna stay quiet in this one. He goes out. He proves his point to everybody, and I'm like, he got on that damn khaki trench coat, like, you know, like he looks like Prince, right? I said, so the lights go off. I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I told Charlotte, I said, if he comes out with the Uptown snare drum, he's taking the shit back to Prince. He's Prince.
Right.
He comes out. He got on the bikini, the khaki dress, the long trench coat. He got the red bandana. He got the Telecaster, and he's spinning around playing Uptown. And I'm like, oh my God, he plays every fucking song. All the songs he never played, Sexuality, all these records he never played. And then in the middle of the thing, he tells them, he says, all right, turn the lights up, right? And I'm just in the audience, I'm like a kid now because he's playing all the Prince songs. He's like, you know, they take my masters, it makes me a slave. So he started talking to slave talk again, right? He still had slave written on the side of his face too. And he goes, that's why if you want my new album, you got to call Dallas to get it.
Yo.
And I'm like, what? What is he talking about? I have no idea what he's talking about. The next day at dark, the line is around the street when I go to the studios. Like all down Northside Drive is cars. So I still don't know what this dude is talking about. Like, I don't have any idea. So Charlotte calls his assistant. He goes, yeah, boss, want to know how many pieces you want. I'm like, how many pieces of what? Like, he said, you got a record store, right? I said, no, I got a record label. I don't have a record store.
They got a
all
record label.
But you got a line of people around here, so I'm going to give them your phone number, tell them to call you. Right. And you get them the record to them. But he's always been like, you know, for me, you know, he's always been one to, he always calls us on business, you know, like me and him, Lenny sitting together. He's like, well, Lenny, you know, you should leave Virgin and you should do this and you should do the other, And I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You don't want to have to go deal with this.
Can we circle back to the fact that the very first thing he said to you was
Michael Jackson.
Michael George made his own Nike.
Yeah, like that's the wildest thing to walk up to somebody and say. Like, that was the very first thing he said to you?
Very first thing, period. I've been idolizing this man since I was 6.
That is wild.
That is
like,
the funniest
so
shit
crazy.
I ever heard, bro.
Yo.
Is that the biggest call you got? Those two, I mean, obviously Prince was, you know.
Prince and Michael is probably the biggest, you know, for as far as like, you know, I can't still figure out to this day like how brand new kids know Michael Jackson songs. Like,
Yeah,
it's 2-year-olds.
my kids love Michael.
Yeah.
And they're doing the dances and stuff. They're like, I'm like,
Absolutely.
how does this work?
That was a
You know what I'm
different
saying?
kind of, yeah.
That's why I just feel like his energy. And I don't know if it'll be another person that exudes that. Even Elvis don't exude that energy.
That's right. That's right.
You know, but I think that's what his impact on this planet. I just feel like he wasn't from here. That's the real alien.
Yeah, that's real shit. That's real shit.
You know.
Has it ever been a time, and it's for everybody to answer, or just a couple people answer, that you fell out in love with your craft and your music for a short time?
I think I fell out of love with what I fell out of love with is when everything really turned into bitch hit the floor, shake your ass, drop down and put some rims on your car. I just wasn't interested.
Got you.
So I started doing pop rock.
Got you.
I was like, because that was my transition from me doing hardcore R&B and sentimental and Deborah Cox and
Yep.
all the R&B stuff I was doing after 7 and everybody else. And then when music started turning instead of Tribe and everything else that was music we was influenced by, I think when Atlanta music started to get really popular, it's all right when you're like, okay, we got one or two, we got yin yang and we got this, we got the other. But when it just started to turn into everything being that way, I was like, damn, that doesn't make me feel good to make it. Even if I make it, it doesn't make me feel authentic to myself or good, because that's not what I feel like saying or whatever. So then I said, well, let me just start doing pop rock, like Gwen Stefani and Pink and all that kind of. So there was that one point where I didn't fall out of love with music, but I fell out of love with what it was doing at that time in my space. So I was like, well, let me just go some other spaces, you know.
I remember when I first met you, or such a trip you might not even notice. When I first met you, Randy had just died on the bike.
Motorcycle, yep.
So I met you after that. I wasn't there when it happened. I met you like right after that. And I remember because Squirt, I would be sitting out there and Squirt would come. His brother Claude, we called him Squirt. He was not a squirt. It's a big dude. I remember one night he came out there. He sat out there and I don't think at the time he knew how new I was. So he came out there. I'm an intern at this point. He was like, "Yo, yeah, you know, Dallas is going through some things, da da da, but da da da." So there was a movement that I don't even know if you know about it, where Tanya and Dave Gates and all of them, it was like a network. And anytime you came to the studio, Dallas is here. Dallas is here. He's ready. Go set up. Leslie, y'all make sure the room is stacked. Da da da. Because you had what I gathered was, you had kind of disconnected when Randy died. Because Randy was his production partner. And then right when I came was the time when you started re-engaging.
Yeah.
So they was like on some Mavericks re-engaging. He's re-engaging. And when you would come, it would be a thing. And I finally had to ask somebody, like, what happened? And then they told me.
Because Randy was supposed to have a B room when I built DARP.
Yes.
So that was his room. And he did all that, like surreal. He came from the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis camp.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when he did that, it put it down. Because the other part of it was we had all bought motorcycles.
Yeah.
So all of us was on the motorcycles and riding, and he just happened to go home that day and get hit and killed. So it just kind of put a damper on everything for a while. What are you doing over here, man? You know?
Yeah.
But I feel like all of us, I think one thing about careering, this is what I say to all the younger artists and new artists I sign and stuff like that. I was like, you got to decide if you're doing this for the rest of your life or not. If you are, then you got to slow down. There ain't no rush if you're going to do this for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Be accurate at what you're doing. But this right here, the anxiousness is you haven't locked in that this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life yet. Like,
absolutely.
You think it's going to go away. But when you do this, you're going to have ups and downs. Your career is going to do this.
All the time.
And it's going to make it a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's going to make you a great lifetime doing this right here. Because if it just stays, that ain't it either.
That's
know.
right.
So you have to rock and roll with. I mean, I've seen eras now, and you have too, where when they start sampling my records, you're like, damn, that's a problem. Like, damn, I've been doing this that long.
Yeah. So when you mix the record they sampling, and you're mixing that record, I've had a couple of those.
It's weird.
Yeah.
You're remixing songs that you mixed in the night.
I'm mixing the record that I actually mixed. The sample that they
Triple OG.
sampling, that's some
Triple OG.
What about you? You ever had that time? Like any time where you felt like music wasn't?
Yeah. So when we had the raid, because my heart was in music, I thought that us getting busted for mixtapes kind of made me feel some type of way about music. And the only reason is because we didn't do it for money. We weren't doing it for certain things. Like you said, y'all were doing it because it was fun, bro. We was trying to add to the culture for so many years. Coming from Philly, we just wanted our name to be on a flyer. You know what I'm saying? We ain't want to be. We just wanted to. We was happy that Big Un was like, I like y'all. Y'all doing y'all thing.
It was. I was a senior VP at Def Jam, right? And I remember they had Jeezy's record come in one day, and Now Barry Weiss and everybody's sitting around there going, okay guys, what do you think? What's the single? And I said, excuse me? You about to ask everybody in here what's Jeezy single? When I said, let me tell you what's going on in Atlanta right now. While you sitting here putting him in the freezer because you keep waiting to find out what the single is and you don't know and all that, he's making fucking mixtapes and they're selling them on Northside Drive and in every gas station in Atlanta. Because if he don't do that, he's not gonna stay relevant. That's right. Because that's what everybody was doing. So I felt like when the mixtape era was up, it actually cut through a lot of art. It was the first time of artists really being able to, like, now you have DIY, do it yourself. You can load up to my distribution company, you can distribute everywhere. But the mixtapes was the first time you had new artists and people like that being able to be heard, being able to be
breaking
associated
artists.
with breaking artists.
Cool.
Absolutely.
That was cool.
Yeah, that cut into us for real. We was like, man, we did all this for the love of the culture, and we still about to face a time for no reason. We got through the situation because
were they trying to give y'all time for that? Or was it just
they were
to make
trying.
you pay
But
for
so
it?
basically, the whole thing was about a bootleg ring that they had in Atlanta that we weren't a part of. They were bootleg. We hadn't got so big, they bootlegged our stuff. So if you seen it, they thought we were. If we're doing a John Legend tape, he's actually talking to us on the tape. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They thinking we're changing the covers of their albums and
bootlegging,
selling bootlegs, but it had nothing to do with us. Once it got down to what it really was, they was like, oh, they the good guys. But it was such a gray area because the labels were protected by the people that were coming after us. They couldn't say nothing, but they were also using us for the marketing strategy of breaking the artist, because it was you got to think about it. It was a cheat code. Let's sign. He's this guy. Let's send him to Atlanta and do Gangsta Grills, and he'll be hot. That was a scene for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Of
for real.
Your whole marketing budget was us, based on us doing a mixtape.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it got so big, it was selling in so many places. We weren't even seeing that. It wasn't even something that we was worried about. So, after we went through that, and you lose everything you do, you just be like, damn, what am I doing this for? My family was upset at me. They thought I was really some kingpin. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, I'm the same dude that y'all known your whole life. But I lost all my equipment. They took everything. They took our cars. So I think that when I got back in the space of just go get a keyboard, bro. Borrow somebody's keyboard. Just make music. That's how you get your energy out anyway. I regained a step moving back towards music, but for about a year I was just stuck. I was like, I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. My anxiety was high. I got PTSD, you know what I'm saying? Every time I turn around, I'm thinking the cops trying to get me. So it was like, I built up that whole thing for like at least 7. Drum actually had a reverse effect. He's like, we ain't do shit. Man, fuck that. We going out.
Absolutely
He had a song called The
Absolutely
Feds Is Watching. He dissing the feds. He's like, I put this shit on my back. I died for this shit. And I'm like, bro, you are tripping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I gotta say this. Y'all funniest era was when y'all were beefing.
Yeah.
And when you was on the tapes doing the drama impressions, like you was like, I'm all over the street like dog shit.
So
they was beefing.
It's a crazy story because him and Jeezy had divided. Something happened with him and Jeezy, and they got into a disagreement. I think Jeezy might have did like some tape, some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And
we love you, Jeezy.
Me and Jeezy just, when you're an artist versus producer, and y'all just kind of coming together, it's a synergy there. So me and Jeezy, we go out, we go to cigar bar. He'll show me shit that I ain't seen. Like, yo, we gonna go to racing cars. I'm like, oh shit, all right, cool. It was that movement. So, in that time they was beefing, Trapper Die 2 came out. He was like, yo, fuck them niggas over there. We gonna diss them niggas. You understand? I'm like, yo, I'm really about to diss my man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was funny. And I'm on the tape and I'm mimicking everything Drum doing. But Drum goes on the Gucci Man tape. He's like, fuck them snakes on the plane. He's like, we're going back and forth. And they only listening to the good music. Gucci got the firest music. Jeezy got the best music. They not even hearing what we saying. I'm dissing Drum. I'm dissing his house, his girlfriend. He on there dissing me.
It was so funny,
It was going back and forth, but it was never told because people would never have thought that we'd be in that position.
Right.
Until
I didn't understand it until we got locked in, and I remember asking you one day, like, bro, what was all of that about? And then you explained it to me. I was like, that makes sense.
And then we got cool, but one thing I do admire about the situation is why I kind of fell back and was like, man, I'm good on this shit. He was like, I'm not good. I got a kid. I'm ready. I'm ready to stand up. Yeah. So the contrast was him being that person, me being that person. Even though I was strong, I just was like, man, I got different plays. I got publishing. I got a lot of royalties. I got shit going on over here. Your main thing was DJing at the time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm in publishing deals. I don't know what to think. I'm all over the place. So there was a time where I got distracted from God kind of making us go into a straight path, and that path had nothing to do with legal and everything. It had something to do with streaming is about to come.
Yeah.
Do mix engineers and master engineers, do y'all get like mix block?
Oh, that's a good question. That's what I was leading. Do you guys get
Mix block like
master block?
I don't know that I get blocks.
That's a good question.
Yeah, good. I got robot arms and shit over there. I've never got this problem.
I never get blocked, but what I do get is there are days when I wake up and I absolutely don't feel like mixing. And what I've learned to do is kind of take off your theory, which is I used to be and I think this is an indictment too of your career advancing, but I used to be the person that felt like you had to take every project and do everything and get everything done. And now I realize, especially having a family, getting older, all the things, man, if I mix that record tomorrow, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I ain't got to. If I don't feel it today,
die.
Nobody's
if you don't mix it today.
And and I remember hearing somebody use an analogy, and I think it was Rick Rubin, and I remember him saying, "Look, Thriller came out on such and such date in 1982, I believe." He said, "If it had came out a month later, it would have still been Thriller."
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
it's like
That's true.
when you start putting this shit in perspective, that's how I start getting through the mixer block, where there are days when I just don't feel like mixing. I just be like, you know what? I'll just mix this shit tomorrow. Unless it's Beyonce.
I never
don't have
a
those
little bit
luxuries.
like
I never
it
got that
depends
from
on
her.
the music
Yeah.
too. Like,
Yeah.
Some days I'm like, what am I?
What is my
What
life?
am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what is my
You ever
life?
get those? You ever-
Yeah.
We get those all the time.
Every
I mean,
day.
this
Every
is a
day.
career.
But,
You get 'em.
but then I get mixes where I'm like, damn, this is good, and like go in on it, and you spend a lot of time on those. Like the better they are, I feel like the more time I spend on it.
Yeah.
The rougher it is. Some of the stuff I'm getting now is just like so loud and so distorted. I'm just like, why?
What
Why
am I
send
doing?
this to me?
I was a little embarrassed. I never told you this. I was embarrassed when I brought the Uzi music to him because I was like, he's not gonna get it. I was like, he's gonna look at me like, bro, what are you doing at this point in your career?
Yeah, I
But
got
the,
it.
The music was good, but the fact that he actually took on the project, and it didn't feel like, because you my bro, I'm doing this.
No,
Because I know you would
yeah.
have told me like, bro, come on.
What is this? Yeah, I got
He
it
took
right
on,
away.
and then I was like, oh, he actually fucked
Yeah,
with
I
it.
got
It's
it.
gonna be some shit. If the purists like it, you know what I'm saying? Same with him. It's like I never got a call. It's like, bro, this shit is terrible. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Which I expect.
Yeah, yeah,
From
It was
y'all,
a
my
diamond
brothers, you know what I'm
record.
saying?
That
Yeah.
first one was a diamond.
Yeah, it was a diamond. So
Yeah, because I understood, because Uzi definitely got YN energy. Like,
Right.
he's in that space. But what you understand is culturally, it's all the stuff we understood about our music when we was rocking Houdinis and everything else. And my mom was like, what is that? It's trash. You don't know what you're talking about. It's every generation's duty to hate the next generation's music because that's the disconnect. And that's the thing that makes it cool to them. So immediately, I wasn't trying to connect with Uzi. I'm 52. So I'm not trying to connect. I'm not trying to connect and like it. What I'm
found your source at, you weren't trying to connect with you.
I was just trying to go, oh, that's their thing. Let me just make it dope. Let me just make it bang and hit. But I understood. I feel like, and Miles, we've talked about this in the past,
Sure,
but
yeah.
if you understand that, you can navigate this music industry forever. If you're not trying to be cool, trying to connect with cool at a certain point, I know what I am,
Right.
but I also know what's dope, and I know what they connect. And it's about seeing what they connect to. Like,
You got to put yourself in the creator's shoes, right? A bit as a mixer or a mastering engineer, and like realize like what that vibe is and what they're going for on that, and be like, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and you can have this sense of like, I absolutely, and this is not a shot to him personally, I absolutely don't like Playboi Carti's music. It's just not for me. I don't like it, but I understand why he has a following.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think that makes us be able to sustain in this industry is you got to understand that. You got to know, oh, this is going to be.
I feel like some of that music too, like I work on a lot of that music, and I feel like it's like a reflection of their like feelings of like anger in
Absolutely.
like growing up in like what the world is
Absolutely.
like today, and it has that like fuck you energy, you know? where it's just, like,
Absolutely.
you know, and it sounds like that, and it's just like it's got some anger behind it, man. You know,
Yeah.
And
It's their version of NWA, and when it disconnects in the older, sometimes it's just because the message is not
it's
in
new,
a cultural
new rock,
message.
it's new
Exactly.
rock
New rock.
star.
Yeah, that's what I was
Exactly.
gonna say.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's rock
absolutely.
energy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
rock
Metal.
energy for sure.
But that's one of the things I would say about Atlanta that hasn't, you know, the thing that has kept us going beyond the years of other places like, you know, Seattle or, you know, even Detroit or whatever is because we really, the only thing they relate to the Atlanta sound is when they get an 808 in the clap.
That's right.
Yeah.
But the things that made us is like we had so many different pockets of stuff, whether it was Rory's or speeches or like
Yeah.
just had all these different things and they still happen here, whether it's Summer Walkers or whoever. It's always going to be a place for something in Atlanta because it's not one sound that made it.
Right.
And even the sound we adopted as the South sound still belongs to Memphis and Florida and
Yep.
Tennessee. And
Right.
so but when you get down to an Atlanta sound, it hadn't really, everybody was different. Like I'm different from Jazzy Faye or from Jermaine or Organized or like everybody kind of does their own
Yeah.
thing, you know. And that's what keeps, I think, the wheels turning here so much. Because if it was the Motown sound and that sound left or the Seattle sound and that sound left, then it's just gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Atlanta finds a way to keep regenerating different types of music. Like I'm looking on Instagram a lot of times, I'm like, who is this? And it's a new artist, but they're from Atlanta. They ain't even signed or nothing yet, but it's different,
Right.
you know. And I think that line of everybody, whether it's the Cardis or anything that happened in the era of all of them coming up, it's got to be a tipping point coming now because now you can tell because we don't have no hits right now in
Yep.
hip hop. You
Right.
can hear
Yep.
because everybody didn't do them already. There's nothing else you can say or do that they did already.
Right.
Like,
That's facts. That's
and,
facts.
And just the richness of the production, like you had the Zaytovens, Toomp, Drummer Boy, like that's rich production, even in just beat making.
Yeah.
Like so, you had that. There's such a sound in Atlanta that, like you said, it's so diverse. It's crazy. I mean,
I think it's the
y'all,
feeling,
like,
the feeling everybody's getting from Atlanta more than anything.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that it came from Atlanta was more than a lot for 15, 20 years.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
it adds a thing to your thing.
Yeah.
It's weird because like you'll see somebody somewhere else and they go, oh yeah, I moved to Atlanta to make it, or you know,
Facts.
and they claim it like they didn't move. Like they claim Atlanta because it does add that little bit of something else to it.
Yeah.
that makes that
it's kind of
key
like how
factor
it was
happen.
with New York back in the day.
That's
Like,
right.
You go to New York to make
I'm
it.
from New York.
Yeah, but yeah, like I
Originally.
said, cultures like that, New York, Chicago, L.A., those places, they have such a fractured culture because of the street activity. Like,
Right.
That's true.
Right.
yeah, it's
Right.
that to me is the thing that really breaks up those spaces. Where like in Chicago, half the dope rappers that were on the come up, they in jail or dead, or.
Yeah.
You know, same thing in New York. Everybody beefing. Everybody want to fight. Everybody, you know,
Yeah.
like when you look at what's such a trip. When you look at, and we can go from Diddy to R. Kelly to anybody in between. Look at all the people who either went to jail or died in hip hop.
Oh, my
and
God.
what it would have been.
Yeah.
Like
1,000%.
you know, regardless of all the things that we've seen on video or X, Y, and Z with Diddy. I mean, look at Diddy's resume to the
Incredible.
culture.
Incredible.
Like
insane.
so, like it's crazy when you look at.
It's incredible.
Another part about it is missing now, which is a trip. Like you got no party man no more.
There you
that
go.
whole era, that whole person in our environment,
No
is
lie.
gone.
But, and I said this. Me and him talk about this all the time. Hip hop is really wide open right now. Everybody's out the way. Like Drake's out the way. Kendrick is in his own space. Thug, Lil Baby, all of them.
yeah.
They can't really talk about what they want to talk about, so they out the way.
Yeah.
Everybody's out the way.
So actually a good time for some newness. I'm
It's
curious to
wild
see
clear.
what that next tipping
I
point
feel like
for
it's
hip
gonna
hop
be
would
more
be.
musical.
Yeah.
I hope it go back to jazz and hip hop beats. I hope you go
Me
back to
too.
trying to find your samples.
Hey,
Go back
come
and
on,
see what
where's
y'all
the
got on
Tribe
those
Called
records
Quest
over
at?
there.
But and we see
yeah.
we see surges of that with like Doechii and like
Yeah,
peop-
sure.
you know
Yeah.
what's his name
From Tampa, matter of fact.
Yep.
why
Big
I
up
keep forgetting
Tampa.
his name?
Yeah,
Call me if you get lost. You know what I'm talking about. Tyler.
Creator.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
you see those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish more people was influenced by them than anything else because it would give you the
Absolutely.
right to say, well, let me just go ahead and try something different instead of like. But I think all of us has done it in the low hanging fruit era. Like when Teddy came out with New Jack Swing, if you wasn't swinging, you probably wouldn't get paid attention to as a
Right.
producer.
Right.
So, I think we all kind of like want to sound exactly like whatever
The
the
thing
best
that's
is
poppin',
until
yeah.
you get to be there yourself, and then you can start establishing yourself.
Yep.
Atlanta just got oversaturated with user-generated content. As soon as they were able to load up the DistroKid, it was a wrap.
Yep.
So it was a wrap.
Yeah.
We went through the crew yesterday, the first couple episodes. So these next two questions as we get out of here are going to be directed towards you. And this is the fun part of it. Things you don't fuck with.
Things I don't fuck with.
So let me explain. So we went through. So this is it's a technical part and a personal part.
Okay.
For instance,
Speakers.
Give me. We could do speakers. We could do outboard gear. We could do plugins, whatever. But
Type of people.
and then the type of people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let him because his type of people he don't fuck with is different, especially Collin. So give us that. Give us some piece of equipment, and this is for educational purposes. This is change his mind. This is what we're gonna do. You say something, we want that company to change his mind.
Well, for me, it'd probably be FL Studio, and I know that's hard.
Bro,
Yeah.
I said the same thing. Yeah, change his mind, FL. I'm just saying.
It
you know?
just, yeah, I'm just, it just, I don't know. The mentality is a little too restricted in the way. You look at machines, you look at things, and you'll say they do the same thing, right?
Right.
Like a lot of times, like I have 1,000 keyboards, and they'll tell me, well, that Moog plugin is going to sound the same as your Moog, but it's just not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And things are going to function different. So I think for what FL Studio started as for kids that want to put their beats on DistroKid or whatever else, it's fine. But when you start to get into production, I thought it was a little like limited.
It's minimal.
Just for me.
Yeah, it's minimal. All right, personal. Personality. Let's just stay there.
Yeah.
Personality
Personality. I just
that
can't,
you can't fuck with.
I can't fuck with over aggressive egomaniac personalities.
There you go.
It just doesn't resonate with. I look at people like Bruce Lee's always my idol. You
Yep.
can kick your ass. You just don't want to if you don't have to.
Right.
So like, just let it flow like water. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna fuck you up. So I really like. I like calm. To me, calm people are the ones. Like if somebody came up to you and said, "I'm gonna kill you," you better worry about him. Not the one that's gonna come up and be like, "I'm gonna kill you." I don't know. Yeah, right. But the calm one,
That's who you got to worry about.
because calm people have time to think about what they're doing, and they
And most dangerous.
And I always say, for me in life, period, the earth was here 10 billion years before I was born, right? And so and when I'm die, it's going to be 10 billion years after. So I got 100 if I'm Superman, and you stay to 100 years if that. That's such a small time.
Facts.
Right.
I just want to have fun and smile the whole time I'm here. I don't want to have any drama. I don't want to have any nothing
Facts.
except for I want to look at the kids, throw them in the air, have some fun, blow some bubbles, keep it moving, make some music. And after you have bad days in life,
Yep.
when you get old enough, you can choose not to.
Live it up.
Absolutely.
Live it up.
What is really, when you start dealing with people's health and somebody's out for cancer or something like that, you go,
Absolutely.
those are going to hurt me.
Right.
But any tangible things you start to figure out, that's just in personality clashes and stuff. So
Yeah.
Right.
I like a nice Leslie Brathwaite.
I was the referee back then. I was like, no, everybody calm down.
The referee.
No fighting.
And that's why we work backwards in this show, because the final question after you said that, this always leads to this space. What would you like your impact to be before you leave Earth? And this is for everybody, because it's the last question.
I would like mine is to be that I did great things for this city. I did great things to help move the needle in the culture and leave an impact on things I felt like were important, whether it was passing this film bill in Atlanta or whether it's going to the schools. And I put studios in the schools. I got like 10 schools with studios in them.
Yep. Education.
I like to go back into the community and the things I wish I had, provide for it.
Yep.
And then let that be my legacy that I left here, is that I did do something to change. Even when I had DARP and I would look around and say I had 19 employees, I knew I was feeding all their families, and I knew as much fun as we were having, it was still a side of that was taking care of people's lives, So I want to be known for the person that did do that and have impact on people's lives in that way.
Dope. M-Dub.
I'm proud of all the work that I did and all the opportunities that I got and how it was able to let me build up my career, but I want my family to know that I love them the most. And that's
right.
the impact that I want to leave.
That's right. What you got?
Even if I just influenced one kid to like do music or whatever, then cool. I did my job. You know what I'm saying? I'll be in Paris and stuff, and like, yo man, I grew up listening to your stuff, and I'm teaching at Abbey Road and stuff. I'm like, I get imposter syndrome sometimes. I'm like, why the fuck am I here doing this? You know what I'm saying? But just really inspiring people to make good music. Because my dad did it to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I can inspire people to do anything good, I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
I think first thing, I have 2 kids. They're 9 and 10, and they're like everything to me. So like being a good parent is like the biggest thing for me. Just like being a good dad. Like I take them to school every day. Mastering like lets me make my own schedule pretty much. So I take them to school. I pick them up almost every day. Spend tons of time with them. Master in between. I employ about 10 people now. Yep. So like, you know, making like a good life for people and having good relationships with coworkers, super important to me, and just keeping it positive vibe.
That's dope.
Yeah, and I think for me, my impact, I just always wanted to be about how I live. Like I always tell my girls, especially I'm in that season with Zoe now, the oldest, where I'm always talking to her about making good decisions. Mm-hmm. So I always tell her, you're a bad decision away from your whole life being different, because she's starting to drive now, da-da-da. Sure. So for me, my impact, I always wanted to be about how I live, like not what I say. So the thing that I think works for me is why I have impact with my kids, with younger engineers, da-da-da. It's, again, what you said yesterday had me thinking a lot, because it's not so much what I tell you or what I teach you, or with my kids what I tell you or teach you. The same things I'm saying to Zoe, and I'm focusing on Zoe in particular because she's the oldest, the same things I'm saying to her, she sees how I live.
That's right.
So when I tell her, and I told Doris this the other day, my wife, I was like, so we have this thing, our family trips, right? I'm just give you an example. So whenever we drive out, I always drive to Orlando. Every time I got a text, like if I got a text Craig Calman or somebody, I'll pull off the exit. And they get so irate with me. They be like, Daddy, for real? And I'll be like, yeah, I got to stop and text. But what that's done over the years is, now that I'm telling Zoe, hey man, if you text while you're driving, you could die. It's not only about what I'm telling her. She saw me do that for years. So that's the impact I want to have, is how I live.
That's right.
Is the impact I want to have. I want to live the way I want them to live. So like, I could tell you don't text and drive, but you also saw me not doing that.
Yeah, you gotta set the example.
That's right.
Absolutely.
My impact is going to be, there's a proverb, and I spoke about this before, that when you lose an elder, you lose a library. I want to be that library.
Facts.
Moving past, and hopefully people can learn from it.
Facts.
That's it.
Yep.
And this is the G.O.A.T Farm. Thank you for coming through, Dallas Austin.
Of course, man. Of course.
Leslie Brathwaite, Miles Walker, my man over here, Rook Flair. Good looking, bro.
That's right.
And 500 billion. I just want to let everybody know, ariamastering.com. Best mastering shit out. I use this shit on 400 or 500 songs, no matter what.
Type
Besides the shit that he does for me.
I was gonna say I use Collin.
That's for, I'm using his son. Allegro's coming up. Sing mastering.
Yeah.
Allegro's coming up. Right?
Yeah, Allegro Studio. It's a new creative collaboration tool
Right.
that we created.
And this is his idea to bring us together and to show our library to others. So I just wanted to give you a round of applause for the idea. That's dope.